Hello and welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, a unique boxing podcast brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. My name's Ben Doughty.
My name is Michael Silkolajide.
And
And I guess we don't have our third wheel in today, right? We do
we
not
don't
have.
have Gary Stretch. Don't worry about him. Tell the ladies and gentlemen, who the illustrious guest in his place
Well,
is
today
today.
we have the incredible. Well, on today's show, we have an amazing boxing mind whose story reminds me, who remains relatively untold. He's trained an all-time great in Roy Jones Jr., and we're going to try to get in depth on that story and talk about. Well, it's Coach Alton Merkerson. Coach Merk, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show. It's really great having you. I'm sure this is, I want to get to the in-depth, the stuff that we don't know, because we know the superficial about Roy and but we don't even know the superficial about you really. I mean, I didn't, I know of you. I've heard of you. It's a legend, but I'd like to find out a little bit more. How about you over there?
Who, me? I was saying backstage before you arrived, Silk, the thing that struck me about Alton, because obviously I know he trained Roy Jones and I know he was an army boxing coach and he was
Yes.
associated with those great boxers from 1988 onwards. But
Yes.
I didn't know too much about him except for the name. And I said I imagine that's because he wasn't a glory hunting trainer who desired the spotlight for himself. So I'm fascinated to learn more of his story in the show.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So why don't we get started, Coach? Why don't you start off with, like, if you could tell us where you were born and how you gradually, I guess, got interested in boxing.
I was born in Alabama. I left there when I was a year old and moved to Chicago. I lived in and out of Chicago, Gary, Indiana, Hammond, New Edition, Calumet. All of those areas are on the outskirts of Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And it was a very tough area. Living on the south side of Chicago,
Yeah.
you had to learn how to fight to survive.
Yeah.
So
945.333 square miles.
Excuse me, Alexa, stop.
Alexa's interrupting because
Yeah.
Gary's not here.
I thought that was Gary Stretch.
So you had to learn how to fight
Yeah.
to survive in those areas. But that's where it all started at. I didn't actually participate in organized boxing, but I was taught by some coaches there that helped me out a lot because I was having a hard time on the street, and I've got pretty handy with my hands and didn't have any problems on the street anymore. So that's basically how it all started. I went to Hammond, Indiana, stayed there for a while, went into the military, and that's when I started boxing again.
Okay.
And when I returned from Vietnam, started boxing in 1971.
Wow.
Had a very impressive record. Had some eye injuries. Military wouldn't let me fight anymore. So my coaching career started in 1972 when I
Wow.
started boxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so you fought in the Army and you fought when you were in the service.
Yes.
Which actually my son does that as well. He's a Marine and he did the boxing with the Naval Academy and stuff like that, which they always have the Army Navy, which is always interesting.
Yeah. Which we won with myself. You know Kenny Adams.
Yeah, of course.
Kenny Adams, Hank Johnson, Marvin Johnson's brother.
Wow.
Us three coaches together.
Yeah.
Won 5 consecutive national tournaments. And 1 year out of 12 fighters, we had 5 national champions.
Wow.
And we never lost to the Air Force, Navy, or the Marines the whole time we coached in the military. That bringing me up to Roy. Winning everything in the military. All 3 of us was on the Olympic coaching staff in 1988.
Okay.
Now, the reason being, we dominated the nationals so much, and we had 3 national champions. We had 3 national champions, 4 silver medalists, and I think 1 or 2 bronze. So they wanted the military coaches to be on the Olympic team. So that's how we got involved with the Olympics in '88. And out of the Olympics, out of the 12 guys, I would say Roy should have had a gold medal.
Yes.
The Carvajal's fight was very close. We had 3 gold medalists, which was Mercer, Kenny McKinney, and Andrew Maynard, and they were all my boxers in the military.
Amazing. I want to ask you about one fighter from the 1988 Olympics, Alton, Anthony Hembrick, who missed the bus. What do you remember of that controversy?
Well, I can't really give you an answer on that. That specific bout I wasn't involved with or getting the individuals ready. It was a mess up on somebody's part. I don't, in reference to catching the bus from the Olympic Center
To
to the
the
venue.
village. Yeah.
The schedule was the schedule. They were very anti-American there in '88. So I can't give you a good
Short
answer on that
explanation.
because I don't know. I wasn't there. I was actually with the other boxers back in the training camp working with them.
It was
The
a
guys that
crazy
got-
Olympics from boxing perspective, wasn't it? It was crazy, dramatic, and controversial. The
Oh.
whole Olympic tournament.
Very, very. They were very anti-American. Matter of fact, you had Koreans run around the stadium with flags all the time, and Mercer got a U.S. flag and started running around, and they actually tackled him and took the flag from him.
Wow.
Another interesting thing that a lot of people don't know: Todd Foster. You had so many
Yeah.
rings. You had bells, gongs,
And buzzers.
So Todd Foster was in the ring with a bell,
Listening for a bell. Yeah.
and the bell went off for a buzzer went off for the other ring. So Todd Foster kept fighting, and the guy that he was fighting stopped,
Wow.
and Todd Foster knocked him out.
Knocked him out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but they
believe he
made
knocked him out again the next day when they insisted on doing it again.
Well, Todd Foster came up and sit by me in the stadiums after he fought because I wasn't working the corners. They came and got him out and took him back and made him fight the same day.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
crazy. And there was a Korean guy, I believe, who staged like a vigil, like a sit-in where he wouldn't leave the ring. And it ended up getting dark and they'd drawn the curtains and he wouldn't get out of the ring. Was it a Korean boxer, I think? Or
Yeah, you're very familiar with the whole '88 Olympics. Yeah,
Yes,
it was
sir.
a lot of turmoil there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I got long-winded on that.
No, please. I love going in depth on stuff like that. I mean, so at that point, you had met Roy, and that was you've had your amateur career, and you also said you had an eye injury, which obviously I had. What eye injury? Could you tell me about that?
Say that again now.
Were you injured? You had an eye injury, yes?
Oh yeah, in a fight at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Okay.
I had a detached retina, and they wouldn't let me fight in the military anymore. So my coach Carlton Brooks, who coached my last coach, he kept me on as a trainer.
Oh.
He had a couple of older guys, James Grant, Eugene Williams. All those guys were all Army coaches, national coaches, and he kind of took me under his wing because he knew I had fight in me, and I was good for the team.
Okay.
I was always able to talk to the athletes, be there with them when they needed me.
Yeah.
Even as a trainer, I was a leader, doctor, lawyer, teacher, preacher. They always came to me for information, you know.
Yeah.
So you were a leader. Now, what was your fight methodology? Did you have, like, everyone has a belief system when it comes to boxing? What exactly was yours, and how did it differ from other people's?
Well, it's very simple. First of all, train the way you fight, and fight the way you train.
Yeah.
You know, you get guys, unless you're losing weight, hypothetical situations.
Yeah.
Why would you get out and run 10 miles and you're doing 10-minute miles just to run 10 miles? Because you're not doing that in the ring. You're not a marathon runner.
Yeah. Thank you.
Your Silk's going to agree with you on this.
Yeah. Boxing is interval training.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fast and slow. So if that's what you do in the ring, that's how you train.
Yes.
If you're jumping rope, you jump fast and slow. If you're hitting a bag, you jump fast. You hit it fast and then you go slow. You're shadow boxing. You're throwing power shots.
Yeah.
You're throwing setup shots. You're sitting traps. You always have to keep a person in front of you when you prepare. You know, when you're training, it's just like you're fighting a person in the ring. And I've always had that philosophy: train the way you fight the way you train, and you are what you eat.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are what you eat. So, and if you lollygag in the gym and I come up to you, you need to pick it up on a heavy bag.
Yeah.
and you tell me, "Oh, coach, I got it. I'll do it in the ring." That's not so.
Yeah.
If you're doing it on the floor like this, where you going to? You're not going to have a pit bull behind you to make you pick it up when you have to. You
Yeah.
have to put the pit bull behind you yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have your fighters do a lot of track work instead of just the long 6 mile
Yeah.
runs, etc.?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Uh-huh.
Um, the way that I train my fighters, I keep emphasizing every time we did anything in the ring, even a speed bag, you're not going to stand in front of the speed bag. I don't
Mhm.
care how fast you can hit it, how fast you are. Hand foot coordination. You need to move your feet while you
Yeah,
while
yeah,
you hitting the
yeah.
speed bag, because
Mhm.
nobody's going to stand there and let you hit them.
And there is a
Exactly.
way of doing that. You know that Wilfred Benitez used to do it. He'd be bouncing and hitting the thing too. So he's on
Yeah.
his toes as well. And there's a boxing kind of rhythm to it.
Even back then, unless you corrected them, and it happens a lot now, it's choreographing.
Yes.
You don't. You have to be. Boxing, you have to be able to react to certain situations.
Yes.
If a jab comes, it's 3 or 4 things you can do. If a right
Yeah.
hand comes, but this stuff about practicing one thing and when they throw a jab at you, you're going to do it. That's not necessarily so.
Mhm.
It's easy when you're on a rifle range
Yes.
to shoot at a target and
Yes.
Yes.
get bullseye every time. But when bullets are coming back at you, you can't do it.
For
It's
sure,
a
for
different
sure.
beast.
Yeah.
It's,
Realistic training.
yeah, I mean, there's absolutely like a lot of people lose the reality, the focus and the purpose of boxing. When someone's trying to hit you, it's almost like you have to be able to adapt really fast regarding the circumstance. So, and adapting, I know is quite a personal thing for each fighter because every fighter takes trauma a different way, I guess if you want to call it, right?
Yes, sir.
When you get hit, some guys are like, okay, you're gonna have to hit me a lot more for it to do that, for it to stop me. But there are some people that get hit and it's an immediate corrective. Then there are people that don't want to get hit at all, and those tend to be some of the hardest guys to fight. Like they just don't want, even if they do take a good shot, they still don't want to get touched.
You brought up a good point, and I can elaborate on that
Yes,
a little
please.
bit because you've got fighters,
Yeah.
you've got boxers, and you've got survivors.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
You always have to put yourself in the alley when your back is to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fold up. Don't fold up because you're going to get hit anyway.
Yes.
You're best to try to line up on the biggest guy and try to get him out of the way. At
Yeah.
least you're not going to get beat down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? The
Yeah.
other thing I'm totally against, spectators especially like to see a real good fight. We're not in the gladiator days. It's
Yeah.
kind
No.
of like the medieval guys
Yeah.
stood on line and the first wave go, you kill them off. The next
Mhm.
line go, you kill them off. Cover and concealment. The best defense, though, is a good offense.
Yes.
So if you're active and doing things, people can't do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
those individuals that everybody talk about, he's tough as nails. He can take a shot.
Yeah.
He'll take 10 shots to get one
To give
in.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can, but
Yeah.
his longevity is not there. And when he's get older, then they go say, well, he's punchy. He can't even talk.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why. The sport
Yeah.
of boxing is deliver punishment without receiving it.
Exactly. Hit without being hit. And
That's
what
right.
people admire the person that shows heart so much, but they only admire him to the point of when he can fight. When he's no longer fighting, as you said, the other half takes over, and they're the ones that are like, oh, he got hit too much, he's punchy, and they remember the downside of his career, the downward trajectory, and not the upward stuff. Of course, it's always people aren't there in the corner for you as they were, or aren't there in your life for you as they were when you were coming up and you were, doing your
The
thing.
only caveat I would raise with this, guys, and I think it's interesting, I've never fully understood it. Sometimes you get a supposed brawler like Jake LaMotta, who is pretty bright as a button until
Mhm.
his old age, until his 90s. Then you get defensive wizards like Wilfred Benitez. And there's another guy I want to mention, and he fought Roy Jones, but I don't want to say it because he's still very much around, and I think it's disrespectful, but he definitely feels to be damaged by punches, right? And he
Yeah,
has
it's
a
a couple
reputation as a
guys
defensive
like that.
wizard.
Couple guys like that. I got a feeling I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think
And
you
I'm gonna
do.
tell
You
you something.
understand what?
I'm gonna tell you something about that fight. The trainer of that individual
Yeah.
came to me before the fight, and we're very close. He's bless his heart. He's not with us anymore, but He
I know
told
who
me
you mean.
you took the wrong fight. He's too tough. He's too tough for Roy. I said, being tough don't win a fight all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I said, 85 to 90% of boxing is thinking.
Yes.
Now if he had a brawler in there,
Yeah.
they just go toe to toe.
Yes.
I'm gonna get off the subject a little bit. I was in Vegas and I watched a fight with Tony. I was at ringside with Tony, and I ran Barkley. I love Barkley to death.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after that fight, I said, Barkley, you have to stop taking so many shots just to get one in, man. You got to fight smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he looked at me. He said, "You know what he told me?
What's that?
This is the only way I know how to fight."
Yeah.
So,
and I think it was.
Some people are just like that, but they're taught that way.
They're taught that way. At the same time, like with Iran, even when I speak to him now, right? I speak to Iran, and he doesn't appear to be punchy. Like he's this person he always was. I mean, he'd be slow to react. He'd slow to, you know what I mean? But in the ring, he'd still do his thing. But he's very cognizant of everything you say and everything you say back to him, and he responds in time. And he gives it thought, but he's never been one of those guys. Like he isn't like one of those like quick snap thinkers like Roy was. Like Roy will jump off in a second. You say this word, bap, counters really quick. Barkley is exactly his personality. You know what I mean? He's heavy-handed. He's purposeful with what he says. He'll say it once, and then you know what I mean. And he'll just try to continue to drive that point home. And so I think that has something to do with maybe like his. I say like him and James Toney, for instance, they have a very like a I don't know, a hardness to him, like an ability to absorb. It doesn't make any sense that Iran could take as many punches as he had and still be so clear and cognizant in what he says. Like I have full conversation with him. It's not a problem.
Yeah. It bothers me. It bothers me sometimes when I communicate with the guys, working with Bo during the Olympics, such a sharp young guy and stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell him now, I just don't like what I see.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well, we went to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame last year, Alton, myself and Michael, and some of the great champions that we mingled with in that weekend. So, some of them are sharp and talk well, and others don't. Others are bearing the casualty of all the shots they took, and it's something that would just it affects some fighters regardless of style. It would seem, you know what I mean? I don't know what we can do to safeguard against it. I'm sure you perhaps have some ideas about how people can limit the potential for that kind of damage.
Well, Coach, even before you go there, let me just say, like Danny Little Red Lopez, for instance, hard for him to get a word out. You know what I mean? Very hard for him. But at the same point, Alvaro Yaqui Lopez, who you've seen and take incredible amounts of punches from Saad Muhammad and everyone down the line, was very loquacious. Like he was talkative. It was really cool. I was like, I did not expect that.
It's body chemistry.
Yes.
It's body chemistry because you can have two fighters that is the same weight.
Yeah.
Same
punishing careers,
arm reach, same height, everything. But one of them's gonna be able to run faster than the other one.
Yeah.
You understand? Some people's mindset allows them to take more punishment and withstand it than other guys. Some guys, every time they get hurt, you can see it. And you tell your fighters when you teach it, look, if you get hurt, try not to show it, because that's going to make a person be more aggressive to you. Stand up and bulk up and let them know that didn't bother me, even though it did.
Yeah.
Because it's a total giveaway that something's wrong, and you don't want people to know that. But I had two boxers that I worked with, and both of them became world champions. And I was with them when they went there. Ray Mercer and Alfred Cole. You could hit them with sledgehammers and they wouldn't go anywhere.
Man, yep.
You understand?
Yeah.
So and then you got other guys that you have to really try to sharpen their skills up in reference to ring gentlemanship, because they can't take a punch.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you don't tell them that you can't take a shot. Yeah. It's reverse psychology. It said, I want you to get on your feet. I want you to know how to spin out. I know. I want you to be able to read those shots when they come.
Yeah.
Keep your defense tight.
Yeah.
Andrew Maynard.
Yes.
Andrew Maynard was one of my fighters, right? And when when after the Olympics, uh, they a group picked him up and they gave him the name Bam.
Okay.
The Bam was boxing Andrew Maynard. Maynard could never be a boxer.
Yeah.
All you would have to do with a guy like that is tighten his defense up
Yes.
and let him do what he does.
Yeah.
You can't just turn people 360 degrees and
Yes.
expect them
To be
be
something else.
something that you want them to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They are what
Yeah.
they are. So I'm not pointing fingers, but me, myself, and I've retired a lot of boxers before they thought they should have been retired because I saw something that wasn't comfortable to me.
Deterioration, yeah.
And
All
if
right.
they asked me, I was very blunt and straightforward with them.
Yes.
Coach, why do you want me to retire? You take too many shots.
Mm-hmm.
Because taking all those shots down the line is going to catch up with you.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care how good you are, how
Mm-hmm.
good a defense you have, how sharp a boxer you are. If you ride a horse long enough, you go get thrown.
Yeah.
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 So it's up to the trainer to talk this boxer and try to make him aware that time is coming. It's time for you to stop. But
Yeah.
most of the time, if they're successful, they don't want to stop.
For sure, there's always more reason to hang around. It's partly the money, and partly it's just a sense of it's the ultimate definition of who they are, and they don't know what else they would do with their life and all the rest of it. I know Roy, for instance, Roy went on way after he probably should have done. But when I asked Roy about it years ago, he said, "Well, what else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go out partying every night?" He said, "I'm having a ball when I fight." And he says, "How come you get basketball players? They're past their best. They still play, and nobody rags on them." He said, "So why can't I just do my thing?" That was Roy's philosophy when I asked him about it.
Well, I could have gave him a simple answer on that. Being this trainer for over 20 years
Yeah.
and one
Yeah,
of the Olympic coaches, you have to know when to fold them and when to hold them. You
Yeah.
understand? So as you get older, the things happen. Your body go through some changes, and you can't continue to do the things that you did when you were younger. But even though you've got it upstairs, your physical ability is not
The same.
connected with your thinking.
especially if you were Roy, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you were Roy Jones.
But what is he doing now? What is he doing now? He's
Well, I
training
believe,
fighters,
He's
right?
training fighters.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
training fighters. Yeah,
Okay, take it to the next level.
Yeah.
He's
Absolutely.
managing fighters.
Yes.
yeah,
Take it to the next level. So you can't continue to keep getting in there, putting yourself in harm's way
Yeah.
for the simple reason that in that ring you can die.
Well, it costs you, right? Like every time you box and you get hit, and as you're not, it's just more painful, and it costs you a whole lot more when you get hit as you get older, or as you
Yes,
get,
sir.
you know, the adrenaline. And we were talking about it last night. The adrenaline stores that you have no longer are there. Like the stores are empty, the shelves are empty. If you don't have adrenaline in boxing, if you can't get up for it the same way, if someone hits you and you can't come back to them and say, you know, this is, you know, hold this, you know what I mean? And you can't come back anymore because that inner fire just isn't there. You definitely need to get out of the game because it's
You
not. That's
speaking from a boxer standpoint,
yes,
you've been there and done that.
yeah,
And when you reach that point, you have to know when it's time to quit and say,
yeah,
well, that's enough for me.
yeah,
Now I'm gonna add something in on that.
yes, sir.
I've been from 1972 up to 7 years ago. How many years was that?
72 to 7
that
years
is
ago.
52 years. Sorry, 52 minus
I
7 is
trained fighters
45.
that long.
45.
I trained fighters that long.
Wow.
45 years.
I trained fighters that long. But let me add this to it. I was very effective in training fighters. I had a
Mhm,
lot of national champions, a lot of world champions,
mhm,
worked with a lot of world champions, a lot of top contenders. But I never trained from a verbal standpoint.
mhm.
Action
You
speaks louder than words with
you always
me.
demonstrated.
I
Yeah.
taught, I taught, I got in the ring with my fighters.
Yes.
I got in the ring with War before. I got in the ring with Cole, Mercer, all those
Yeah.
guys, Axel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they questioned me and when I told them that you need to do this because you're getting hit too much, or you need to keep your right hand up, or you're dropping your jab hand. They said, well, coach, I don't think, okay, give me some head, give me a head, get a cup.
Yeah, brilliant.
I would show them. They said, well, how did you hit me with that? I said,
Yeah.
I told you, keeping your hands down.
Yeah.
So when you do it that way, they listen. I can show you in 30 seconds faster than I can take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to tell you how to do something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you feel when you get some of these old masters, great trainers or supposedly great trainers like Ray Arcel, who never had the gloves on, and Angelo Dundee? How do you feel about that phenomenon when they can't do what you were able to do? How
Well,
does it work?
it's that doesn't bother me for the simple reason if you're around something long enough,
Mm-hmm.
you go learn the game.
You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
pick
You
things
go
up,
learn
yeah.
the game. Yeah, you talk about Lou Duva. You talking about doggone Angelo Dundee. You talk about all these
Duva
guys.
did box a little bit, you know. Lou Duva
I
did box a
know,
little bit, I
but I
believe.
mean, but I'm just saying that boxing a little bit and being a great fighter is two different things.
For
Look,
Yes.
sure.
a, a trainer's job is a boxer's second set of eyes.
Yes.
Yes.
It's you're looking for things that that boxer can't see while he's in there. So
Yeah.
when
Exactly.
he comes back to the corner, all of this hollering, keep your right hand up, move your feet, you got to shoot your jab right, blah, 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 blah. The boxer, he's not hearing anything they say.
You
Exactly.
were with Roy for the Felix Trinidad fight a little later in his career,
And
right? You were?
I want to.
Yes.
I wanted to hear what you. I wanted to hear what you were going to say. Sorry, if you have
No,
to finish.
I'm saying you're saying all these things. The bell rings, the guy comes back to the corner, and I was always labeled as not saying enough in the corner. I do my talking in the gym.
Yeah. Thank
These are
you.
professional fighters.
Yes.
I'm not break his stride or break his concentration by running my mouth, hollering
Yeah.
about 10 different things that he need to do.
Yes.
And
Because he ain't going to absorb it all. Exactly that. Exactly that.
No, no, it's not exactly that he's not going to absorb all that. It's just the fact that he's been trained already to react. He has the reflexes and the knowledge in which to do it. Coach taught him, and now he just has to use it. So you have to use one or two words to say to a guy.
it's not a time to cheat. It's not a time to
Exactly.
teach when you're in a
Yes.
fight.
Absolutely.
You
Which
sit a
is
guy down. Let me finish. You sit a guy down after that bell rings. You pull his trunks out. You get his mouthpiece out. Take deep breaths.
Yeah.
The first doggone 15, 20 seconds, just let the
Gone.
man settle down. And
Yeah.
then you say, okay, give him some water. If you want some on his head, okay, look, you need to move to your right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, you keep getting, yeah, move to your right because you keep getting hit with hooks.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay out of his right hand. Well, it ain't doing you no good because he's killing you with hooks.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Move back, move around or
Yeah.
something. Don't move
Yeah.
into another power hand.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you tell a fighter. But
Yeah.
so many guys, especially these young trainers, they tell a guy 30 things in the corner and he don't understand none of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, and the reason I referenced the Trinidad fight was I can't remember the precise exchange, but what I do remember vividly is you told Roy something. You said Trinidad is trying to do this, like he's trying to draw you onto whatever, and then Roy turned around at some point and went, "No, that's not what he's doing." I don't know if you remember it. He actually disagreed with you. Do you remember
Okay,
it?
let me. That's good. You brought that up.
Thank you.
A boxer has been boxing. If a boxer has been boxing for 20, 30 years, you see something, he don't have to totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you see, he might see something else.
Yes.
I respect the boxer for giving me that feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's in that with him. So what he's telling me when he say that is, a coach, he ain't gonna spend a long time. He said, no, that's not what he want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because he sees it in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
my perception of what was going on might be different than his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand? So coaches have a big problem, or trainers have a big problem with saying he didn't do what I told him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You go rely on your natural instincts and what works for you when you get in that ring because you're not getting the coach not getting a punch thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if the guy think he has a better way of nullifying that problem that he has, it's his job to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he keep getting hit doing it, you come back and say, look, why don't you try the way I told you? You need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
move to your left and throw a hook. So it has to be a compromise. There's no dictatorship between a coach and and a boxer.
Especially when he gets more experience, right?
That's exactly right. See, Roy, excuse me, my hands go numb. That's why I keep moving this camera.
That's all right.
Uh, Roy had Roy had a lot of amateur fights.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up Roy when he had 19 pro fights,
Okay.
and I took him all the way up to like 5 years before he stopped. But you, when you pick up a new fighter, you have to add to his arsenal, not take away.
Yeah.
You understand? It's
Yeah.
many a times, and if he's listening, he gonna agree with you. It's
Mm-hmm.
many a times that I've told Roy, I think a right hand hook will get this guy. He said no because he's fainting a lot. He's fainting. He'll give me something to counter it.
Mm-hmm.
Now he
Yeah.
saw something other than what I saw, and when he tells me, "I got it, coach. I got it," you have to leave that alone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't argue with him if
Yes.
he
Yeah.
figure he has a better way to get to
Yeah.
this guy or not
Uh-huh.
get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
Absolutely.
that happen more often with someone like Roy, who was a genius when all said and done? Was it more likely for him to second guess you than a more ordinary fighter?
Yeah, because he's exceptional. You got
Yeah.
great fighters. You got great fighters. You got average fighters. You got fighters that's not so good. But when you get a great fighter like Muhammad Ali, every great fighter that's out there, sensational fighter that's out there, had something that they did out of the norm.
Yes.
Yes.
You
Otherwise, they wouldn't
understand?
be what they are.
They
Yeah.
had something they did out of the norm, but it worked for them.
Absolutely.
I was in the martial arts for years, and
Mm-hmm.
you get all these different styles because once you learn the basics of karate,
Yeah.
uh, you come up with your own style.
You ad lib. Absolutely.
You ad lib. You add something to it. So
Yeah.
that that's your style now because you did that. Boxers do
Mhm.
the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
For
about
sure.
Emil Griffin? You know
Yes.
Yeah.
about the bolo punch, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was yeah.
What did he
But
say?
they
How did he say he developed it?
What was it?
well, they
Kid
said it came
Gavilan?
from Cubans in the
Kid
field.
Gavilan?
He said,
Super King.
I cutting that cane, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand?
But
But nobody else throws a punch like
but
that.
I think
Yes.
that was Kid Gavilan, right?
Yeah.
Kid
Kid
Gap, yeah,
Gavilan. And
yeah,
also Eusebio Pedroza used to use it well as
He
well.
did, and Eusebio Pedroza threw it real good too.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, he was because the thing that people don't understand about the bolo punch, right, guys?
yeah,
But you guys obviously will. They think it means when you're winding a hand up like for show, like Sugar Ray Leonard
yeah.
against Duran. No, it's a short. It's like an uppercut to the body, but it winds up, right? And
It's
Yes,
that's
an
what
sir.
people
uppercut
don't
to the
realize
body.
what a
Yes.
bolo punch is.
It's
But
a, it's
but
a,
Sugar Ray started. He took it to a different level. He does that.
Yeah,
Then he comes up with a strong jab.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Roy
Yeah.
yeah,
changed it. He does that and he throws a right hand.
Yeah.
yeah,
So they
Yeah.
just add to what somebody else did. So
yeah,
it's their creation, you know. So, but what bothers me is a lot of the young fighters say, "I want to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it just like Tyson. I'm gonna do it just." It's no such thing.
Yeah.
You have to come into your own. You have to do what
Thank
works
you.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because everyone's body is their own. I don't know how to say it exactly, but everyone's body sort of like does the same thing differently. And
yeah,
you have to acknowledge that. And that changes up your timing. The fact that you do it differently, your opponent is not going to be able to tell what you're going to throw. He's not going to be able to defend it so easily because he hasn't seen it that way before. So that difference that you're talking about is exactly what fighters should embrace.
you must cling to
Not
it.
try to do it like Tyson did it. Don't try to do it exactly the way Tommy Hearns did it. All the rest of that kind of stuff, because we've seen it so often. People come in and they emulate what Mike Tyson fought like, I remember when Tommy Hearns was coming up out of the amateurs and he turned pro, knocking a ton of people out. And I saw guys in the Pacific Northwest coming in wearing the Kronk colors and trying to fight just like Tommy. And I
Yeah,
was like, well, this can't be good because you're not that. That is not you. So there's no
yeah.
way. There's no way you could be successful.
Yeah. And we have in England, we have a whole bunch of coaches who they try almost to try and take the flair out of every fighter, especially if it's
Yeah.
a special fighter like Roy Jones or even a Prince Nassim Hamed or whoever. They want to turn every kid into this really basic box fighter machine who just does bare minimum stuff and doesn't bounce and he just makes little movements and if you're just turning out a conveyor belt of the same fighters, you're only going to achieve ordinary things, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is
you know we're all on the same sheet of music, but a lot of individuals like to use a lot of big eyes and a lot of little U's. You
Yeah.
understand? I
Yeah.
was always, I always used in my coaching
Mm-hmm.
them, they, we,
Mm-hmm.
us,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because it's a team.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
He lost because he didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do what I told him to do. Uh, if he would have listened, he
Yeah.
would have won. I mean,
It's
it's
ego
pointing
driven.
the fingers. I don't like that. And there's one thing I can say about Roy. He he was the one that made the final decision.
Yep.
Him and
Yeah.
I, because a good marriage lasts if you communicate, you
Mhm.
compromise, but it's no such thing as dictatorship because the marriage is
No,
not gonna work. The
especially not at
marriage is
that
not gonna
level.
work.
Yeah.
So if a boxer comes to me and say for instance I want him to spar today,
Mhm.
and he comes to me and says, "Hey coach, I really don't feel up to it." No, you're gonna spar today because that's what I want you to do. That's
Yeah.
totally asinine.
What do you
Mhm.
think, Silk? If your young lad said that to you, he doesn't want to spar today, would you tell him he got to do what you say?
No, we're talking about pros now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We're not
True.
talking we're
True.
not
We're
talking
not talking
about
about young
amateurs.
Yeah,
amateurs.
It's a
but
different.
I'm obviously I'm in Alton's camp. I mean, I think there's it's knowing your fighter that it's so important,
Yes.
right? It's knowing
Yeah.
your fighter and knowing what he's capable of and knowing his mental capacity as well as his physical capacity. So yeah, I'm 100% in coach's corner.
Yeah.
When your dad trained you, I just don't want
Yes.
to say that.
Yes,
Is there
please.
some days you come in and say, "Hey, Dad, I really just don't want to work today. I need some rest."
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Now, a
yeah,
father might say, "No, you need to train." But if
yeah,
you told me that as a trainer
yes.
and I wasn't your dad,
Yeah.
that's why sometimes dad and kids
Yes.
don't, because
Yeah,
it's a dictator type thing. I would say,
exactly.
you really that tired, champ?
Yeah, yeah,
Coach, I really need some rest,
yeah.
man.
Hmm.
Go ahead and rest. We'll
Yep.
work out tomorrow.
And you know what, coach? And those are the times when a fighter can't do that, when he gets hurt the worst.
Yeah.
That's when he actually gets hurt the worst. And most fighters that get hurt, they get hurt in training, in sparring. I mean, that's something you're doing almost, at the very least 3 times a week, right? Like you're
Yes, sir.
sparring multiple rounds with multiple different fighters, different weight divisions, speed, power, all the rest of that kind of stuff. And those are the times that you're really getting hurt in the
Yeah.
ring.
The fight should be easy. The
Yes.
fight should be easy. The
Yes.
training should be hard because
Yeah.
you building a guy up, you breaking him down,
Mhm.
you getting him at a sustaining point. We talk about
Yeah.
peak. You don't want to take him overboard because when he peak for so long, he gonna fall off again.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to know when your boxer's gonna peak,
Yes.
and they don't know it themselves a lot of times.
Exactly.
Which is
100%.
why sometimes you might tell them to have a few days off in the middle of a camp, like maybe 2 days off or something like that, when you
Oh
think they're
yeah,
getting too sharp too
if
early.
you know he's burnt out, and he's sluggish, he might as well not be in the gym if he's in there not doing anything. He's just going through the
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah.
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 How do you?
I'd rather send you to the house and let you rest. And then said I might say, hey, go home, come back to the gym when you're ready to do some work.
You know, George Gainsford, when he was training Sugar Robinson, sometimes apparently he would say they'd be in camp training at the Pompton Lakes usually. And he would say sometimes, "You're too sharp, Robinson. You best sleep with Edna May tonight. Sleep with your wife tonight, because I don't need you this sharp when we're like 18 days out or whatever." So he'd say, "Go and get some, and then come back to tomorrow." So I don't know what that. I don't know if that might open up an interesting few questions about fighters and the rules about that kind of activity during camp. I don't know if you had a belief system on that as well.
No, no, I never did.
You never got
But
involved.
I had a knack of knowing my athletes,
Hmm.
and I trained. I had camps where I had 80 guys at one time training them.
Wow.
Many
Really? God,
years.
gosh.
Every year for a total of 12 years, I had at least 80 to 85 fighters from all over the world to cut down to a 12-man team.
Yeah, in the army,
So
right?
I mean, I had two other trainers. That's all I had.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is watch and observe. If you're doing things right, I don't bother you. If you're not
Mhm.
doing things right, I bother you.
Yes.
Why
Okay.
create a situation if a situation is not there? You understand?
Sure.
So
I hear you.
I've always, out of all of those individuals, I had the system that I had. I would have the best guys in each weight class out of that group of individuals.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So let me
interested in
ask
talk.
you. Let me
Go
let
on.
me ask you, Alton. When you met Roy, what was your initial thought of him? Do you remember? Well, the first time you saw him, the first time you saw Roy, what was your initial?
Yeah. At the Nationals. At the
Yeah.
Nationals, he actually fought one of my guys from the military, James
Okay.
Chris.
Okay.
So Hank and I was sitting in the corner,
Yeah.
and James Chris was pretty sharp. He was a hell of a hooker. I mean, he was a good fighter.
Yeah.
He won inner service and all of that stuff. And Roy had his own style. Yeah, real
Yeah.
flamboyant, his
Yeah.
hands loose, but he could do what he wanted with his hands.
Yeah.
And the check hook,
Yeah.
he kept catching Chris with a check hook. I told Hank, this guy's hitting traps with Chris. He wanted him to execute, and he go catch him with that hook every time.
Yeah.
When he
Yeah.
came back to the corner, I told him what he was doing,
Yeah.
and he looked at me. He said, "Coach, I don't care what I do. This guy got a counter for it." He was
Yeah.
that sharp.
Yeah.
He could look down the barrel and know when you was gonna pull the trigger.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
answer your question, uh, like 88, 87, 86, I saw that in him.
Yeah.
I saw that in him, and he would
Yeah.
always
Well, he was like
he would
17.
always huh?
He was 17 then, right?
Let him
Yeah,
go. Let him go.
at the Nationals.
Yeah.
So every time we go to the Nationals, I be telling Hank, I hope we don't pull Roy.
Yeah.
I hope we don't pull Roy.
Yeah.
And
His
Hank's like,
reflex.
I hope we don't either.
His reflex was incredible, amongst the fastest that I've ever seen. Like the way he was able to react in his like his vision was like non-parallel. It just I'd never seen somebody who can see what a guy's trying to do and read a person so quick and then counter him. So how did it happen? How did you guys come to meet? Like,
Okay,
I know you met at the.
this is how it happened. I had first of all, it was some turmoil in the Olympic coaching staff.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
Kenny Adams was the head coach. Tom Coulter and Ramirez, they was taking 4 coaches, and Ramirez and Hank Johnson was the 4 Olympic coaches. I was the all Army coach. They couldn't take but 4 coaches, right? We're talking
Okay.
about being in the background. I was always in the background, but I did
Yeah.
most of the work.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so so I so I stayed back. Kenny Adams had a confrontation with Matthews at the Olympic Training Center, which was the
Mhm.
comptroller.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jim Fox and Colonel Hall stripped Kenny of his coaching job. They
Yeah.
fired him. They made Tom Coulter the head coach, made Ramirez and Hank the assistant coach.
Mhm.
Now they had cut down to 3 coaches. Now we getting ready to go to the Olympic trials. In the
Mhm.
meantime, Kenny was going through arbitration to get his job back.
Yeah.
While we was in the Olympic Training Center, he was reinstated.
Wow.
Okay.
No, let me back up. During the Olympic trials, because Sugar Ray was our spokesperson that year, till he resigned.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He resigned for the simple reason that Hank Johnson, my partner, who was in the Army with me, he didn't want to work for Coulter. He said Coulter never did nothing. I don't want to be second under him. Since
Yeah.
Kenny's not going to be the head coach, I want to be the head coach.
Mm.
So after that, I got caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
After that, Colonel Hall, Jim Fox, Billy Dove, who was in charge of the whole military sports office. I get a knock on my door. I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I answered the door. Coach, we need to talk to you. I said, what do you need to talk to me about? You want to be on the Olympic coaching staff? A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
I said, my exact words, I would do anything to be on the Olympic coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think it would be an honor and privilege, but under the surrounding circumstances, I can't take the job.
Wow.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because of the loyalty that myself, Hank, and Kenny had, we fought together, we trained together. I trained both of them the last few years they fought.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Kenny was going through arbitration. So Kenny got his job back.
Wow.
Kenny got his job back. They made Coulter the second assistant coach, head assistant coach. Ramirez and Hank stayed on. Now, in the meantime, I'm at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Kenny called me up. He said, I need a training camp. I went to the general. I said, I want to train the Olympic team here at Fort Huachuca. He's like, what? I said, yeah, I want them to have everything that everybody in the military has except for a hospital. That's what we trained for the Olympic '88 team.
Yeah.
Now, in doing that, they gave me everything that every other coach got.
Hmm.
I went to Seoul with the team and everything, but they didn't have me down as official coach. But I can
Right.
say this: I don't think anybody else would have turned the Olympic coaching job down, which I
Hmm.
did. That'll be in my book when I write it.
All
Yeah.
right.
Is that something you're working on?
Yeah,
That's what we look out for that. I would. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your views on the when they changed the computer scoring system after 1988 from Barcelona
yeah.
92 onwards. They changed to that computer system.
I think it was the wrong decision because the reason I said, and it was built on Roy's fight.
Mhm.
Absolutely, because
It was
the
it was
IOC said if you don't come back with something else, you're not having boxing at the next
it,
Olympics unless you justify your
it,
scoring system.
it was built on Roy's fight. But the next year, what they did with that scoring system where you had to push the button,
Yes. Yeah.
uh, look, everybody's reflexes is different. You had to push that button within a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And
How are
if
they
you
going to catch
didn't,
a
it did.
four punch combo? How are they going to even register a four punch
Yeah.
combo?
So I didn't agree with that because, and the angle, the angle, you might
Yes.
have two people to see a shot, or the
Exactly.
other person didn't see a shot. That's gonna make his activating the button later than the other guy. So I don't agree with it at all. I think they should just concentrate on having good judges
Thank you.
that know how to score.
So,
And
right,
that
exactly.
that took out the three. That took out the three scoring blows constitute 1 point.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's possible to use? Do you think it's even possible to use former fighters as officials?
Yes, yes, I think it'll be good, but I think you'll fall into some bias type situations.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
he's from my city, man, and I box
Yeah.
in that gym, man.
Uh-huh.
I want
Yeah.
him to win.
Uh-huh.
You trying to do the right thing, but if it's real close, you know what you gonna do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what you gonna do. You're like, well, it was close. I'm gonna give it to Fred instead of John. So
Yeah.
I think and they can't be neutral all the time because you're using the same officials over and over again. But I
Yes.
think when you catch somebody doing stuff like that, if you got a doggone hypothetically a 2015 score and you got the other one's 2019, come on.
So,
Yeah.
so coach, I want to take you back a little bit to my question. I didn't quite finish it off, or I didn't get the answer that I was looking for, really.
Okay.
When did you? Okay, so you had met Roy in the Olympics. That was yeah, and you had trained with him
Okay.
going up to it, right?
I
And
got
then
you.
how did you guys? Yeah.
We got off track. Okay. Once I brought the Olympic team into Fort Huachuca,
Yeah.
I fed them. I did everything. I set the whole camp up. I got them transportation. I fed them. I had people take them to if they wanted to go to movies. I did it all
Uh-huh.
at Fort Huachuca. Now we had some things set up like picnics and
Hmm.
special meals and all that. And I used to look around. Roy wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
Roy would be gone. I'm like, where is Roy at? I didn't know he loved basketball that much.
Uh-huh.
So and all the boxers be looking at me, Riddick Bowe, and all of them, they'd be like, we don't know, coach, but they know. He would go down to the high school and play basketball. Any place he found a basketball court, that's where he went.
Okay.
So I approached him one day. I said, Roy,
Mm-hmm.
you you missing a lot of events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kid was so decisive and know where he wanted to go. It was pathetic.
Yeah.
And he would say, I know what I got to do, coach.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps my weight down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
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 That keeps my weight down. I said, but you go get injured. You're on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
I don't play that rough. I just run the court.
Yeah.
He always had an answer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, why didn't you come to the picnic?
Yeah.
I had more important things to do. I was in the gym working out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, we got this connection.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have all these guys working out on the floor. Here comes Roy. Hey, coach, I want you to work with me on the mitts today. We're
Okay.
doing mitt work.
Yeah.
He's very observant. He watching
Yeah.
because I'm a realistic type trainer. I don't hold no mitts 15 inches apart. A head is 8 inches wide.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
you give him the shots right here, you know. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
picked up on that. So I worked with him for about 3 days, and I said, why don't you want to work with the other coaches? He said, because you work the mitts realistically. You
Keep it
throw
real.
punches at me like an actual person. I said, okay. So after the Olympics was over,
Mm-hmm.
everybody split up. Now, I already had a job working with Eddie Cook. Well, I'm working with Kenny Adams out in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I was always second man in charge is because Kenny retired in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
He set up some boxes in Vegas.
Yes.
Hank retired in 1989. He set up some boxes in New Jersey, and I worked with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Vince Phillips, Kenny McKinney, Eddie Cook, Ray Mercer, Alfred Cole, Charles
Yeah.
Murray. That was our group.
Yes.
So the thing was, I was supposed to pick up some more fighters and start centrally out of Tennessee.
Wow.
So we was gonna have a monopoly.
Yes.
But anyway, that didn't work out. So I ended up going to Vegas. Ended up going to Vegas with the Las Vegas Gloves. So the management got kind of shaky, and I told Hank, I said, Hank, this thing not working too good out here. So I went to New Jersey and started working with Mercer and them. I
Yeah.
get a phone call in the middle of we getting ready, Mercer ready to fight Tommy Morrison.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
3 o'clock in the morning. Hey coach, yeah, who is this? This Roy. I said, what's up, champ? He said, you remember I told you a long time ago, don't tie yourself up? He told me this in the Olympics.
Yeah.
He
Oh
said,
man.
don't tie yourself up. I might need you one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get this call, and I said, what do you mean you need me? He said, I got a fight coming up, and I want you to work my corner. And
Wow.
I told him this. I said, Roy, look, I know you and your dad working together. I don't want to I'm not going to get between the son
That's
and the
the hard
father,
one.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
These are the exact words come out of his mouth.
Uh-huh.
Let me plug this back up before I lose my power.
Okay.
Cool.
Exact words that came out of his mouth. He said, Coach, a lot of people want to train me.
Mm-hmm.
And he named off some people.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, a lot of
Yep.
top ranked trainers, right? He
Yep.
said, I want you to train me. But if you think you got to go to my dad and get his permission for me to train, his permission for you to train me, I'll
Uh-huh.
go with one of them. But I really want you. So I
Wow.
said, let me think about it.
Yeah.
So the next day, I called his dad.
Uh-huh.
He wouldn't answer the phone.
Wow.
So the Levin brothers, Stanley and Fred Levin,
Mm-hmm.
they had helped Roy all through his amateur career.
Yeah.
So I called Stanley Levin. I said, look, I want you to get a message to Roy because I can't get him on the phone and tell him that his dad sent word through somebody that if it's anybody who would want to train his son, it would be me, and he wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got that message to Roy. So Roy called me up. He
Yeah.
said, "So will you train me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll train you." And I said, "Look, I'm getting Mercer ready for Tommy Morrison right now, so
Mhm.
I can get down after that. Give me a couple of days after I finish with that camp, and I come down and talk to you."
Yeah.
I said, "When do you fight?" He said, "In 10 days." I'm like,
Ah.
"What? Wait a minute." I said, "I can't get you ready in 10 days for a fight,
Yeah.
Roy." Roy said, "I didn't ask you to get me ready for a fight. I
Hmm.
asked
Yeah.
you to come and work
The
my
corner.
corner."
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
I said, "When you want me to come in?"
Yeah.
3 days before the fight.
Hmm.
Yep.
So I come in 3 days before the fight. He's shaking weight. I take him down to the gym. I said, "How you feeling?" "I'm feeling pretty good, coach. I'm ready to go."
Hmm.
I said, "Who are you fighting?" Hadn't even told me who he was fighting. He
Hmm.
said, "Glenn Thomas, 23-0."
Yeah.
I looked at him. I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "You in shape?" "Yeah, I'm in shape." I said, "I trained Glenn Thomas out in Vegas.
Yeah.
That was one of my fighters."
Wow.
I said, "Who put this fight together?" He said, "Well, they threw his name out, so I took it." At that time, Glenn was going through some personal problems with doing some things he wasn't supposed to. So I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't train him at that time.
Mm.
And I said, "First of all, he got some problems right now. And I know I train him, I know everything Glenn do." He said, "Oh yeah?" I said, "Yeah." So I said, told him a little bit about Glenn and all that. I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Let's work the myths and see what you got." This is some of the things that Glenn go do. Work the myths, everything I gave. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
else you got? Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Wasn't breathing. I
Yeah.
felt comfortable then.
Yeah.
So we get in the fight. He stopped Glenn. He stopped Glenn. We talked, and that's where it all started at.
Wow.
And I did ask him. I said, why did you want me to train you?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You should know." I said, "No, I don't. That's why I'm asking." He said, "First of all, you wouldn't go change me.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, you listen and compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third of all, I know you look out for the athletes and you're not about it for yourself."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "That's all I got to say."
I see
And
that.
that's the way I am, and that's the way I've always been, and that's the way I'll always be. And that's how we got hooked up. And we had a 20-year run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an incredible run. I mean, all
Yeah.
the greats are always like at least a 10-year run. So to get a 20-year run out of boxing is absolutely amazing. And so when he had the issues, at what point did you step into his life as a trainer? Like, what was his record? Well, he was a professional already. Yeah, he had a
He
few
was a
fights.
professional with 19-0.
19 and 0.
He
Okay.
was 19-0.
Yeah. Nice.
Had his
And
own way of doing things.
yes.
I worked on him on his inside game a little bit because he was
Okay.
taught to box and
Yeah.
sit traps for
Yeah.
people. Roy was
So
very easy to train because he knew the game already.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
if you were to take him back or have that opportunity again, at what point in his career would you say, "Listen, I really insist that you do this because it's going to prevent you from having this issue that he would end up having"? Like,
I did it. I'll tell you when. It started. It started uh, when we fought, won the heavyweight title.
yes.
Ruiz.
I put on 19 pounds of muscle on Roy for that fight.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in, he made Ruiz look like an amateur, really.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so the next fight we were supposed to have was Tyson,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
because Tyson was ready for picking then.
Yep.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tyson saw the fight. We already had a date locked in with HBO.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tyson saw the fight and said, "No, I'm not gonna fight you right now. I need a couple more warm-ups."
Yeah.
Stanley and Fred informed HBO that, hey, the fight not gonna go through what way. HBO
Oh man,
I
no.
think he lost power, Silk. He literally, I think you remember he was saying he wanted to charge the
Oh
phone.
yeah. Oh
I think he lost the
no.
power, man. That was a bad time for it to go as well. But
Yeah, I was getting into this.
all we can do, Silk, is hope that he
Wait for
gets it back together again. Because
yeah.
what was he going to say there? Because it's true, when Roy beat Ruiz, I think it was March the 1st,
Yeah.
2003,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started training at Gleason's gym right about that
Mm-hmm.
week, to be honest, the Monday after the Saturday, and the
Mm-hmm.
whole talk of the gym all week was about Roy and Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
and the idea,
Yeah.
and some people were saying, like I remember some people saying, oh, Tyson's too big for him, Tyson punches too hard. I know there's some other black guy in the back said he can beat Roy, and everybody was getting excited about it, But
Yeah. 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 That was definitely the conversation going around, and the fact that that he beat Ruiz and Ruiz had beat Holyfield, right?
yeah,
Had made it like a reality in people's mind. Like Roy really can't fight heavyweight. Like
yeah,
if Ruiz had never beat Holyfield and a few other fighters that he fought, people would say, ah, well, he beat a kid that's I wouldn't say like experimenting, but he's on the fringes of contendership. Like maybe he should be out at the 20 point or something like that. But once he got to those names under his belt, and then Roy came along and beat him, it was like it started to be real at that point.
yeah. I'm hoping he can get it back in, Silk. I took him off the stage because I think it's easier for him to get back in fresh if the
Okay.
phone turns on than it is, just in case it stays black otherwise,
Yeah.
the screen.
But
But
we definitely have to have a part two because I
we would
mean,
have to, if he doesn't listen, if Alton Merkerson doesn't come back. That was a great conversation. Lovely, floated all of that. So we will
yeah,
definitely have him back. I don't think it necessarily would be next week because we've got Fury Usyk, and I imagine that's going to dominate, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah,
between yourself, me, and Gary, I would have
yeah.
thought it's probably enough for next week. But he hasn't. We're not done yet. He may come back, and I hope he does. But I mean, maybe you could text him, Silk. He's probably just
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
get the power
well,
back.
let me try to get him.
Because that was it was so many of the things he said, Silk, were the same things I believe about training fighters in terms of don't tell them too much in the corner, don't shove water straight in their mouth as soon as they get back to the.
Mm-hmm.
It was things that
Yeah,
man talks a lot of sense.
don't run too much.
Don't well, because see, because sometimes I think you think I disagree with some of your theories when I'm more on the fence. I'm not, because sometimes you'll tag me being like, "What about Evans and this?" Ben Doughty, as if you got it in your head. You built this narrative that I told you were
No,
talking
because you
rubbish.
actually say something that would lead me to believe that you don't agree with me.
Man's paranoid. Listen, no, because for instance, or sometimes you just forget what I said. I absolutely told you I thought Lomachenko beat Haney, but sometimes you'll get in your head that I never said things that I did say. Oh, by the way, while we're on it, can we get this out, guys? Those of you who watched me on Friday, and I did it on my own. We definitely had an agreement that picks were not valid unless they're made on the show. I've already given you the point, so don't cry. I gave you the point. I was the bigger person,
No, no,
but
we didn't have that agreement at
we
all.
we
That
did,
wasn't the
Silk.
agreement.
Silk, we did. We
No,
did.
we said if you could make the decision before the fight. That's what we did with Gary going back. Here
Well,
he
very
is.
quickly, he's
Alton.
back. He's back. Very
Yes.
quickly, Silk. That's why you recorded a video with your prediction for Haney Garcia, because we
Yeah.
said you had to do that.
Sugar. You have to let it go. We have a bigger issue right here. We have the man back. Let's do
So
that.
where did I get cut off at?
You got cut off talking about Roy and Mike Tyson and the way that was supposed
Oh
to be
yeah.
building.
Okay, so Tyson wouldn't take the fight. So Roy said, "Well, coach, I'm gonna go back down to 75 and defend my title." Roy, you can't do that. You're not gonna be strong enough. So we make it through the fight. It wasn't decisive enough. HBO again. Everybody they want to see the fight. You didn't win decisive enough. Fight Tarver again. Roy's body never had time to recover from
Mhm.
losing that 19 pounds,
Yeah.
man.
You
He
believe that
just,
ruined him, Alton? Do you believe that
huh?
ruined him? Do you believe that actually ruined him? Like
Do you
some people
think?
do.
Well, actually, do you think the weight loss ruined him, or do you think
Did
the
that?
loss ruined him?
No, I
No,
think the weight loss. The weight
no,
loss.
No,
the weight loss. He
but
never
I'm
returned. Let me.
He didn't
So he
lose to
fought
Tarver. He
Tarver
didn't
the
lose.
second time. He fought Tarver the second time,
Yeah.
and that's when he got stopped.
yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
in the second
he
round.
ran into a left hand. Then
yeah,
we fought Johnson. It wasn't 2.5 months after that before he fought
Yeah.
Johnson again.
Wow. Yeah.
So his body never recovered, and I was trying to tell him that, and then things would start going a little sour. Not with me, but I guess he didn't want me to tell him. Well, you don't need to be fighting. I told him after the heavyweight title, fight Tyson and retire.
Yeah.
Imagine if he
But
Nice.
imagine if he'd have done that.
but
Imagine if he'd have done that. His career would have been so
I
perfect
I
from
know.
that point of view.
So after he stopped making these decisions, and well, he brought his dad back in, and I said, look, it's time for me to leave.
Oh
I've
wow.
done all I can do in 20 years. So
Yeah.
At what point did he bring his father back in?
well, he thought he thought about bringing his dad back in,
Mhm.
refreshing his memory on the things that he taught him when he was young, his
Yeah.
reflexes and timing,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
all this stuff was
Got it.
revamp itself.
Oh, got
You
it.
understand?
Yeah.
He was looking for something then. He said, "Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring my dad." So when he brought his dad back in, I said, "Look, Roy, you and your dad back together now. Look, I've done what I could for you." He said, "No, I want you to stay on." So I
Yeah.
felt some kind of way. You can't have two fathers in the
No,
same
no, you
house.
cannot. Yeah,
Do,
absolutely
you-
not.
So
do you know?
it just started getting a little. After about 5 years, I just pulled out.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
do you know when he lost all that weight to defend his title against Tarver the first time, when he lost all of that weight after Ruiz,
Yeah.
they say he worked with Mackie Shellstone to bulk up, right? They did a lot of conditioning, him and
Yes, he
Mackie
did. Mackie
Shellstone.
Shellstone. Yeah.
And somebody said, okay, so Shellstone was an expert at putting 25 pounds of muscle on, but he wasn't an expert at taking it off quickly. And that was one of the problems.
Well, Mickey Shell said he we got a supreme being upstairs. He can make things happen, but you just can't take that much weight off a person within 2 months and expect
No,
for them to be strong.
no,
You
no.
understand? It's just no way possible. Think about it. Uh, Roy
Yeah.
was doing everything to get that weight off of a man, just to make the weight.
Do you
Now,
think that?
if he would have came down and fought Tarver at a catch weight and not defend his
Yeah.
title,
Yeah.
I
190
would
pounds or
agree
something.
with that. But I
Yeah.
told him that it's just too much on you to take that much weight off, Roy.
Well, let me
But he
ask you
chose
all.
to do it.
Let me ask you all. Now, did they not have? Did they not have Roy, and did they not have a rivalry as amateurs? Did they not fight, spar, something as amateurs? I thought there were some words like Tarver felt a little bit comfortable because of he got over at Roy as an amateur.
That's it. That's exactly right. That's
Okay.
that's one of the fights. That's one of the fights. Yeah, that one of the things they brought up. I
Yeah.
wasn't with him when he fought him, but that
Yeah.
did come up. Yeah.
So psychologically, he kind of, kind of like way Holyfield had Tyson. He had him psychologically because I believe they also had some sparring issues and stuff like that at camp. Did they not? Like,
With Holyfield
Yeah.
and Tyson, it was more like an argument about over a pool cue.
no, no,
Tyson
no.
wouldn't get off the pool table.
I think it was as amateurs. They sparred as amateurs, from what I understand, in the
I think they
Olympic
they
Village or
did do a
something.
few rounds too, but
Yeah.
but everybody cites this iconic battle over the pool cue, and he said Tyson wouldn't get off the table, or he said he wanted to play next, and Holyfield said no, winner stays on, and he wouldn't give him the cue. He
But
always cites that as a big psychological
but going
landmark.
back when Roy was in his prime, I wouldn't have been afraid to put him in with anybody. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, that's
yeah.
not because I trained him, but everything was just ticking. Everything was right on tick. When we fought Bernard Hopkins, Roy was injured
Okay.
for the title.
Yeah. Wow.
But
And what
then when
part
we
was?
fought him for the second time at the end of his career, that's when his dad was on board,
Yeah.
and I ended up working the cuts. He got cut real bad. He just wasn't seeing things like he saw them years before, and timing was off. And I personally think he could have beat Bernard Hopkins, but
The
Bernard
second
Hopkins
time,
was shooting low blows on him, hitting
Yeah.
on the hip,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
used to nullify that thing by doing little, but he didn't do none of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
it was
Well,
you if you stay in something long enough, it's go deplenish, and it
Yeah,
just
it'll catch up to you.
it was his time, man.
Yeah, it'll catch up to you. Just sometimes it's the physical, it's the reflex, and sometimes it's the mental. You just don't get in that same headspace anymore, and the sacrifices you make don't make the same difference that they used to.
No, no.
So,
And then you start looking. Then you start looking for things. You
Yes.
start looking for somebody that's stretching you different. You
Yeah.
yeah,
start looking for some
like it must
people that's
be, yeah,
yeah, anything to get you back where you were.
yeah.
Yes.
Which,
And you get out of your comfort zone with the
Yeah.
people that you
Mm-hmm.
are used to, and you start
Yeah.
looking for other people to help you do
Yeah.
stuff. Then
Yeah.
it's too many people, and it's a cluster.
you know, Silk, there's something we got to ask Alton about, or we would not forgive ourselves, I suspect. The first Montel Griffin fight, because we're friendly with Montel as well, and I want the Roy Jones camp side of that particular disqualification loss. Roy's
I
first loss. Go.
I was really upset with that decision. I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
And this is the honest truth. First of all, the individual that called that disqualification shouldn't have never called it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody was directed to call that. The guy was actually counted out
Yeah.
by the referee, and the referee was advised to do something. That's what bothered me more than anything. Now, the other thing is Eddie Futch was in the corner of Montel Griffin, which is a very
Yes.
smart trainer.
Uh-huh.
Eddie, Montel really wasn't hurt. Him and Theo Twin was telling him, stay down.
So you think he faked it? He
Yeah,
faked it.
well, yeah, I know he did. But
Okay.
when you're in the process of pulling the trigger on a pistol
Yeah.
and you pull the trigger, you can't pull it back, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The man was not on the ground when Roy was throwing flurries on him. He was leaning against the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he did the last time he hit him, Montel's glove was on the ground or touched the ground. Roy can't see that when he's throwing punches at a guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
wasn't totally on the ground.
Yeah.
But it was a smart move on Theo Torrens and Eddie Futch's part. It was a bad decision on the judge's part. I mean, on the referee's part.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that made the referee call that decision shouldn't have got involved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
I
then
confronted that individual, and that individual said, hey, I got a job, Murph. I got people I have to answer to.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to
yeah.
leave it at that.
And in the rematch, Montel always says that you guys brought him out too quick. He didn't let him warm up, and he was caught cold.
No. I had some problems after that fight with Montel, controlling Roy. When I trained Roy in the gym, I said, look, Roy, we're going to have a strategy for this. It's not going to happen again. You know what Roy would do? Yeah, all right, coach. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna finish, and this is how Roy is. Maybe a week later, all right, champ, this is what we gonna do. Yeah, all right, coach. You know what Roy told me before the fight
What's that?
started? He said, Coach, I'm gonna tell you something. This is the next round in that fight that I lost to Montel Griffin. That's the fight I'm having now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Round 8.
So what he went straight to him. He had planned on knocking him out.
Yeah.
It wasn't no strategy for him.
Yeah.
He said, I'm picking up the next round that they took the fight from me for.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
So,
And
Now, when
before we get off of here, I've got something that I want to share. Before we shut down.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's probably gonna take about 30 to 45 seconds, but I want you to hear.
Okay, I
Thank
do
you.
absolutely want to hear it. But while we're on the subject of his fights, I wanted to speak about actually Roy stopped Murky Sosa, and he stopped him real fast. Was it the first or second round in New York City, Madison Square Garden?
Mhm.
Were you with him then?
Yes, I was.
You were, right?
I
Now,
was
what was
with
your plan
Roy with every fight up from 1993 up to like 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
So Murky Sosa was one of the strongest, physically strong, like absolutely, I mean, dangerous.
Right.
And he was murdered. Sugar Ray kicked him out of camp. He was using him for a while. I sparred with him. He messed everything up. He messed everyone up in camp, and he was one of the physically strongest fighters that I've ever gotten in the ring with, if not the physically. Roy went in there and he fought. I mean, it was a first round or second round KO. Roy was just so fast and he hit so hard. And I was looking at him and just like, wow, this is an absolute different beast. What's his mindset going into a fight? Like, okay, so he's in Madison Square Garden. He's in the change room. He's getting his hands wrapped. What's in his head? Like, what does he do?
I can answer your question on that. And that's when he's in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
He has his own mindset.
Yeah.
I need to say this before I tell you why he did what he did.
Yeah.
When Roy feels that somebody can punch and it's a threat to him and there's a possibility he can get hurt, he's gonna have a different fight strategy with him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that alley, backing yourself into a wall.
Yeah.
If you got some guys coming in, you know you're gonna get your butt whooped, you go try to line up on the biggest one and do what?
Yeah.
Try to take him out, right?
Yeah, okay.
Roy tries to hurt people that fight like Murky Sosa and like Eric Harding.
Yes.
To get him out of their game plan before they get to him. You understand?
Yeah, makes sense.
So and he did. So you catch these guys with these big shots and they're like, what the?
Yeah. Yep.
He gonna let them know that he's not gonna run from them.
Yeah.
That you got to fight today, and I'm gonna put something on you to let you know you got to fight to slow you down from doing what you like to do.
Yeah. Where does this power come from? Because does he have heavy hands? I shook hands with him before.
No, it's a combination of speed is power.
Yes. Okay.
It's a combination of speed.
Yeah.
But Roy's punches come every punch Roy throws comes from the floor. Man.
Yeah.
And all the energy exit out of his fist. It's no wasted energy. If he's going over you coming to you with an overhand right, this whole side of your body is behind his punch.
Yeah.
If he coming to you with a hook, this whole side of the body is with. He don't throw no arm punches at all.
Yeah. He locks his body with it. He locks his arm. That shoulder locks to the body, so he gets that whole torso coming through.
Yes, sir. And he locks everything up, and all his energy comes out of his fist, which it should.
Yeah.
A lot of people wave too much.
Yeah.
It's kind of like holding a pistol. If you hold a pistol and don't have a firm grip on it, and you wonder why you can't hold a shot group, it's because you got too many ways the barrel can move.
Okay.
But if you lock it in, and keep your focus and just come straight back on the trigger, the bullet's gonna have to go straight.
And he always naturally just hit him with that middle finger knuckle, like whatever he did, he turned that fist and he would hit him with that hardest part of the hand.
Yeah,
like he was almost inventing punches when he was fighting, throwing combinations.
And I tell you what get him sharp on that. Mm-hmm. I did it when I was fighting.
Yeah.
To make sure I threw my punches correct.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my wraps on a hand glove or bag gloves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I hit it incorrect, I was gonna skin my knuckles up.
Yes.
And that was a training tool for me. And Roy did something similar to that. But I'm gonna tell you what made his punches real effective. Roy works a double end bag different than anybody I ever saw in my whole life.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's something that his dad introduced him to.
Yeah.
But he mastered it.
Yeah.
And he had to have speed to keep up with the bag.
Yeah.
How was it different? How did he work it different? I mean, I've seen him work it, but I like the description.
He works it different because it's so tight. The average person couldn't hit that double end bag.
Yes.
Yeah, even
being as tight as it was, the average person couldn't hit it. They'll never master it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so therefore, like Ben, what we're talking about is like the timing. His timing is increased because his reflex is that much faster. Like you hit the double end bag, and I think it's one of the most effective tools in boxing. Like more than the heavy bag, more than the speed bag, all of that kind of stuff. The double end bag represents like you can never tell a gauge distance so much. And although you're punching, if a person picks up your punch, they flinch. Even if they flinch, you're not hitting him the way you want to hit him, the way you thought you would hit him. Right, with the flinch. So the double end bag is that flinching, nervous, always moving individual. And so your focus and your timing has to be perfect.
Roy does three things that makes him that much better on his double end bag.
Yeah.
He has a speed, but he has feet and hand coordination. His feet's always moving.
Yeah.
His feet's moving while he's punching. He's shifting his weight
Hmm.
with the punches that he
Yes.
throws.
Yes.
And the other thing is, he looks down the barrel. He knows what the bag gonna do. Even though it's going that fast,
Hmm.
I asked him sometimes, I said, Roy, I said, you read a lot of shots, man. You set up combinations because you know what the guy go throw. He
Yeah.
said, Coach, I can see the shots before they come.
There you go.
Just by watching his shoulder. That's why, and I always taught him this, if you go throw a punch, don't never reach back to throw it. It got to
Uh-huh.
come from where it is.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And he's very good at that. If you fight a guy and every time he throw a punch, he's cocking it, you go get caught before you get hit me with a shot like
Yep.
that. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
So when people say to you that power comes from the legs, the power comes from the legs, is that something you necessarily agree with?
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Now, well, no, I'm not going to totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the rotation of your body. You can use your upper torso,
Yes.
or you can use your legs and your torso to throw the shot.
Yes.
Just like you, for instance, an overhand right,
Yeah.
you actually pivot on the ball of your back foot, and your whole body comes over with the shot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
On a hook, you pivot on your front foot. You can do it stationary, but to
So
get a real snap on it, you pivot on that front foot,
Yeah.
and let
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
whole body, the whole
Yep.
side of your body's
The
coming
whole
with
some
you.
side of the
people say
body's
you should
coming
keep
through.
that front foot set, Alton.
No.
Some people say you
What?
should keep that front foot set.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I don't. Listen, when you think about it, right? So you say to yourself, what are pivots for? Pivots are so you can remain in balance, right? Like after you throw it, the
Yeah.
pivot itself doesn't help you throw with power. The pivot helps you maintain your power after you hit and you go
That,
through and you maintain your balance afterwards, right?
that's
So if
exactly
you
right.
miss,
Because once you drop the power off, you
exactly,
just set your foot back down and you're ready for another shot. Or you
exactly,
throw another shot from the other side.
Yes.
exactly,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but so a lot of people throw great left hooks and they step in with it and they don't pivot them. But you'll see some fighters who, if you're stationary and you whip that punch, you absolutely have to pivot with it because if you miss or even if you hit and go
You
through, you don't want
you
to
know
yank
what
it
they
back
you
out.
know what they do?
Yes, sir.
They change the shift of their body. And
Yes.
it works for some people. They're not actually throwing a hook. They're actually throwing 45, where they pushing their body up at a 45-degree angle,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like pushing the shot up instead of coming across with it. I see a lot of guys do that, but
Yeah.
to answer
Yeah.
your question on that, uh, Michael, is I also say this: it's no such thing as a correct punch,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An effective legal punch is a correct punch.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Do that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes,
So
absolutely.
absolutely.
some people
It's
not gonna have a picture perfect hook,
Yeah.
but if you're throwing
what
it
works for them.
and it's legal and it's an effective,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change it.
Exactly. Yes. I
I'm
love
Yeah,
it.
not gonna
because it's
change
got
it.
to be more than the textbook. There has to be more than the textbook. Otherwise, anybody would be a great fighter.
Yeah,
Well, textbook is like the Marquis of Queensberry rules, and you have like we have over in a lot of times back in the English day when they have you fight a purposeful way that you were talking about, Ben, where it's very straight up, and you kind of like the jab is this. You always start with
Stand
the
up
jab.
style, yeah.
Yeah, the
Stand up
stand-up
British
style
boxing
doesn't
style.
necessarily work. And once but I do want to mention, and I know there's so many things I want to talk to you about. We have to get back for a part two, and we still have that one point you wanted to make. But I want to talk to you about Derek Gainer for a second. Who was a
okay. Derek Gainer is one of my world champions,
yeah,
one of my personal world champions. Cole was one of my personal world champions.
yeah,
Raw was one of my personal
right,
world champions. Those three I can definitely say, and a lot of top contenders.
yeah,
But Derek Gainer mimicked Roy.
He did.
Derek Gainer had a lot of speed.
yes,
Speed is power.
mm-hmm.
Derek Gainer didn't have the ring gentlemanship as Roy does,
Mm-hmm.
but he was able to read people's offense and do defense on it.
Okay,
Uh, that got him a world title.
yes,
That got him a world title, being able to look down the barrel, seeing
mm-hmm.
what's coming. The worst thing in his whole career that he did when we fought Kevin Kelly,
Yes.
Yeah.
He had Kevin Kelly's eye messed up. He was beating Kevin Kelly. I told him in the corner, Smoke, just the rate goes stopping another round. Just keep on the end of your punches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People listen to these other people that's out in the audience who are their friends.
Yeah.
Get him out, Smoke. And what did he do?
Yeah.
He get
Loaded
caught
up.
with a shot by Kevin Kelly.
Yes.
But guess who?
Yeah.
Guess who told him? Guess who? What the word was after the fight?
What's that?
Coach Merck's not a good trainer. He told him to go in and get Kevin Kelly. That didn't even come out of my mouth.
It was
Yeah.
your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but through training hard, through getting good sparring,
Yeah.
doing Smoke didn't get hit that much.
Yeah.
Corrales caught him pretty good
Yeah.
when he fought Corrales, but he was sharp
Yeah.
enough because he threw a lot of punches.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for Roy, the hard work that we put into him,
Yeah.
everybody said Smoke wasn't a world champion material.
Yes, I get it.
But he became a world champion. Cole, not to get off the subject,
Yeah.
Cole was the least talented boxer I ever trained,
Yes.
Yeah.
but the most determined.
Oh man.
If you hit Cole and you
Yeah.
run out of gas, if you hit Cole, first of all, you're not gonna hurt him, and you go piss him off. Second of all, if you run out of gas on him, you got some problems.
And we're talking about Al Ice Cold right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And if you hit him and you think you hurt him, you didn't hurt him because he getting ready to
Yeah.
come back. He became a world champion because of that. So everybody have all of these certain things that they benefit from,
Yeah. Yeah.
to make them who they are.
Yes. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
has something different. Tell me, okay, so again, I've got to go back a little bit further. Charles the Natural Murray. I mean,
Yes, sir.
how did he miss? How did he miss?
Charles was a great boxer, a good ring gentlemanship. Being able to make a guy pay when he make him miss.
Yeah.
More of an outside fighter than an inside fighter.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But he had finesse. He could box your ears off. That's what got him through with being a champion.
Mm-hmm.
He could box you, make you miss, make you pay, give you angles where you couldn't find him. And that's the way we trained him. We didn't train him to sit up and bang with anybody.
He was kind of like a throwback, like a Donald Curry kind of.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Now I trained Curry on the end of his career.
Oh, for real?
I trained Curry on the end of his career. Yeah, after he lost to Rene Jaco, I fought him against Nunn. I fought him against
in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was training him then.
Yeah.
Oh,
and what is that drop off? What is it like? Can you explain to the people what's it like? You see an individual, you saw what he was, and now you see what he is. And how does that
sit with you?
It's that point I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A trainer has to analyze a fighter, and when he starts slipping in certain areas, it can be feet movements, it could be timing, it could be a not being able to take a shot, not being able to pull the trigger. Donald, when I picked up Donald was at that stage. Was reaction was slower than it was the years before.
Yeah.
He was having problem making weight. I had to spend a lot of time, personal time with him to get his weight down before he could get it down himself.
Wow.
It was just a combination of things that didn't put him in a happy place. You understand?
Yeah, I got you.
And then when Mike McCollum, when he caught him with that shot, when he was winning the fight, and he caught him with that hook, it took a lot out of him.
I think so, yeah.
Stuff like that happen. If you get stung by a bee and you get stung real good, and your face swell up and you suffer for a couple of weeks, you don't want to get bit by that bee anymore, man.
You get a little gun shy, maybe.
Okay, it's because your brain is programmed to tell you that.
Yeah.
Don't want to get hit by this same bee anymore,
Yeah.
So
and what was Roy's? Do you believe Roy's offense was his defense, or what do you think his defensive attributes were?
It's two things that Roy benefited from.
Yeah.
Like I stated before, offense is the best defense. He was able to counter people and read what they did. He set a lot of traps.
Yes. Okay.
He set a lot of traps. So if you make a mistake with a Roy in his early career, you got punished.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it was. And
Yeah.
he was sharp enough to analyze what you were doing and see the
Mhm.
punches coming and counter them. But when he countered them, he made it count. It wasn't just no little small punch. He did something to hurt you. Now, once you got hurt, he was a good finisher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good finisher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's coming at you from all sorts of different angles.
Did you see that fight with Benny Paz?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You
Oh,
see that 7-point combination? He hit him
no.
with every shot.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Every shot. To me, like Roy had that. Roy had that fight like Ali had the Cleveland Williams fight. You know, it was just his perfect fight.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of them. Roy probably had a few of them, but I think
It's
that one.
two. It's two fights that Roy didn't. It's two opponents Roy fought that Roy didn't really want to fight.
Okay.
It's actually three.
Uh-huh.
He didn't want to fight Benny Paz.
Yeah.
He didn't want to fight Mike McCallum,
Okay.
and he didn't
Yeah.
want to fight Felix Trinidad.
Because he
Wow.
liked them too much and respected them too
All
much.
of them were great fighters. They was on their way out, but Roy went way above his prime. You know, he fought.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had 20-year run. So
Yeah. Yeah.
these guys were like at a point where they were ready for picking.
Yeah.
When he dropped Mike McCallum, he kind of stood back like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, he didn't have the kind of finishing instinct with
no.
McCallum
And yeah,
because
and
he liked him too much.
Roy has such a good heart. You could tell that if you
That
to meet him.
he did it in those fights.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to hurt Trinidad
Yeah.
when
No.
he was dropping him. And then on
No.
Vinny, he was telling the ref, "Hey, you gonna stop it?"
Yeah.
And the ref didn't stop. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna finish it myself, so I ain't gotta
Yeah.
punish him no
Yeah.
more."
Yeah. He hit him with that left uppercut. That was one of the
Oh
most.
man, you
Yeah.
see the steps that he was taking with the punches that he was throwing.
Yeah.
He took a step with every one of those punches. 7 punches, he took a step with every one of them.
Yeah.
Because Benny was falling back.
Yeah. I
Yes.
love
Yes.
Vinny too. He had so much heart. He was a courage. I mean,
Yeah.
from lightweight to whatever weight he ended up, this guy always gave 100.
Is Benny Paz's dad still living?
I
I
don't know.
tell you, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I ain't gonna be. Larry Hazard and I had a big falling out at that fight because I always check my boxer's ring out
Yeah.
before he get in it. I get in it myself, make
Yes.
sure everything's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go down to the ring, I get in it, and I'm bouncing around. I'm like, man, this ring is fast. What the? Wait a minute. I'm standing on wood.
Yeah.
So the ring crew was there. I said, hey, who's the supervisor here?
Yeah.
Who put this ring up?
Yeah.
He's a guy in charge. I go talk to him. I said, you know, you got the ring set up. You got the isolate up under the wood. The plywood is supposed to be under the bottom.
Yeah.
He said, well, a guy that say he was with the promotion came down and told us this the way he wanted to set it up.
Wow.
Guess who it was?
Who's that?
Benny's dad.
Oh,
okay.
no.
But you know why he did it?
Yeah, I know why.
He thought he was going to give him more speed to use his
Yes.
feet. Okay, you know it. But so I go to Larry. I said, Larry, the fight, until you get the ring fixed, Roy not fighting.
Yeah.
Huh.
He's not fighting. I'm his coach. I'm looking out for him. I'm not going to let him sit there, fall back, and get hurt on the wood, man.
Yeah.
Coach, we just got an hour before the fight. We can't. I said, we're not fighting. You got to get the ring fixed. They
Wow.
get to Roy. Roy calls my room. Hey, coach, let him go with it. I ain't worried about it.
Okay.
So I go with he said because he's the one that's fighting.
Yeah, sure.
But I wasn't going to let that happen, man.
Yeah,
Several
yeah.
times I did that. But Roy kind of overrode it. The time that HBO wanted to put a mic on his back so they could hear the sound of the punch,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I disapproved it. I said, if
Right.
my guy get caught in the ropes or fall on his back and
Yeah.
mess his back up, y'all not going to be liable for it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to let my box. So they got to Roy again. All
One of
right.
those-
Oh, coach, let him go ahead, man. Let him try it.
And
I
did
let
they
him
do
try
that?
it.
Did
Second
they
round.
what fight did they do that? The parabolic microphone.
Huh?
What round did they put? What fight did they put that on him?
I forget the fight. I forget the guy was fighting, but they wanted to hear his punches or something. So
Yeah.
after he got caught on the ropes the first round,
Yeah.
And I said, Roy, I'm taking it off. I said, you got, coach. Second round, he got caught again.
Yeah.
He came back to the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Cut it off.
And the woman up there with the mic was like, he freaking cut the speaker off. Yeah, get that mic out of here too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so.
Oh man.
I wasn't a nice. People consider me not to be a nice guy. The Boxers Writers Association, the networks and all that, because like I said, I was all about the boxers.
You're
Fighter,
about to
yeah.
fight it. So
Protecting it.
you are a
Don't
fighter.
let my guy come out here and fight for 12 rounds or 10 rounds, and when he finished, you send him back to the locker room, and you got these goons in the back. Don't
Yeah.
let him out. Make him stay in
Yeah.
the locker room.
Yeah.
So at the organizational meetings, I'm like, hey, get these guys some seats. Why you gonna make them sit in the locker room after they finish fighting? They're the one putting the show on. So that's why a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't like me, but I don't really care.
Yeah, yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It's one of those kinds of jobs where you've got to be, you got to be ugly sometimes because
Yeah.
their intent is different from your intent. Your intent is
Oh, yeah.
purely your
Yes,
interest
sir.
is in the
Yes,
fight,
sir.
and theirs is something else altogether. Was there one thing that you wanted to teach Roy that you think you were never able to actually teach him? Because I know you said he liked to do things himself and he had his own way and he already had his issues.
Yeah,
Father.
it's two things. Cause he was a good fighter on the inside.
Yeah.
A lot of times he would get on it, but he got better. He got better on the inside, but he would always try to get out and get
Yeah.
out and box.
Yeah.
Because he could hurt guys on the inside a lot
Yeah.
because he had some good skill.
Sure.
The other thing is it was right on the tip of my tongue and I lost my sense of thought.
Yeah.
Doggone, I was talking too fast.
No, it's okay. I get it. Maybe it'll help you remember. I know when people used to pressure Roy and he go up against the ropes.
Put his hands right up, yeah.
Leaning over the ropes.
Yeah,
I
he
would
would
rather for him
lay
to
back.
lean forward and shift and work under instead of leaning back on the ropes.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but he would always throw overhand shots off of it.
Yeah.
But his body was always in good shape.
I was gonna say.
His body was always in good shape, and he didn't mind getting hit to the body. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So he didn't worry about getting hit to the body as long as you didn't hit his head.
And what kind of core work did he do? Did he do anything specific? Like
he had a routine, a lot of crunches,
yeah.
A lot of medicine ball stuff.
Okay.
So
like
a lot of
medicine ball stuff like Ali used to do, like laying down or standing medicine ball.
No, like a combination with doing sit-ups or crunches.
Okay.
You would throw it to him and he'd go back with it and have to come up with the ball, throw it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Executing punches at the same time.
Okay.
His back muscles and his abs and his shoulders was strengthened a lot because he did the wheel on the floor a lot.
Okay, the wheel, yes.
Where you roll the wheel out.
Oh yeah,
wheel,
the wheel was killer, man. That's one of the best best core workout you can get. Did he do it from a standing position or on his knees?
On the floor, laying on the floor.
So he'd lay on the floor, but he would extend all the way out on
all
from
the
his
way
toes?
out, all the way
Dang.
out. From he would do it on his knees, and then he would do it with just his leg, with his feet.
Crazy.
And his legs were straight.
Yeah, that's
a lot of dips,
yeah,
a lot of pull-ups.
Okay, so that's
natural strength type stuff.
Yeah,
and push-ups.
That's one thing all the young fighters can learn, because that core work right there is what powers. That's where you get your speed, your reflex, your balance, everything. I mean, it starts here and radiates out through the fist, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we did a lot of. He did a lot. He made some type of contact practically every day.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not the head.
Yeah.
But he might come over to me after we finish training. He'll be sweaty or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I see him walking to me, and one of my trainers, he don't let him take his training gloves off.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit.
I
got to do about 2 or 3 rounds of body work with him.
Wow.
One of my trainers got to do 2 or 3 rounds of body work with him.
But he loved it,
and he done boxed 10 rounds,
Wow. He loved it. He loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to love it in order to, to put yourself through that kind of physical, the physical demands that you do in boxing.
Yeah.
and they're also highly repetitive. Like, and it's so important that repetition. People don't understand that's so important. Boredom doesn't count. When people say, "Oh, it's boring," that doesn't count. You have to
No,
repeat it.
no.
Patience and
Uh,
repetition, all of it.
a lot of people don't know how to push themselves. They give up too quick.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to build within yourself, man, because the people that's very successful in business, even,
Hmm.
they go that extra step.
Yes.
When they get
Yeah.
tired, they don't
Yeah.
stop. They just
Yeah.
keep going, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
They eventually stop, but they go do more than the average person
Yeah.
does.
Exactly.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You can take the prescription, and not to say that you should be taking more than what the doctor tells you to do,
Yeah.
but you've got to do more than what you're prescribed to do, what you think you can
Yeah.
do in order to achieve the levels that someone like Roy and a lot of the other fighters you worked with. You have to be willing and comfortable to go way beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I tell you, Roy had a couple things going on with him when I first started training him.
Mm-hmm.
His hands was terrible, man.
Uh-huh.
N-
Wow.
Not properly wrapped, just using
Yeah.
Yeah.
training wraps as a professional. I used to see him flinch when he hit the bag
Wow.
because his hands were so bad. So
Yeah.
I
So you
started.
would wrap the hands every single session you got with the
I
gauze.
wrapped his hands. I started icing him. I got him with it wasn't no problem anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I got him where he could hit
Yeah.
without flinching and stuff. But his hands was in bad shape. The other thing is he used to run too much. He used to run too much
Yes.
because he was running to lose weight, and he was running on pavement and everything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So what I did, uh, I got him to doing some low impact stuff, riding a bike,
Yeah.
a regular bike,
Yeah.
Yeah.
10
Push
speed,
bike. Yeah.
cranking up to the
Okay.
highest
Yeah.
uh, thing. So he ain't got that pound on his knees because his knees was bad.
Where
Yeah.
do you stand on swimming? Everybody used to say don't swim because they used to tell you not to swim if you were a boxer because it was the wrong muscles. What do you believe
Well,
about swimming?
I disagree with that because
Mhm.
it's a full body workout.
Yes.
Yes.
Now the bad thing about it, it's one thing about your body. When you lose a lot of fluid weight
Hmm.
and you're trying to make weight and stuff, you want to stay away from water, drinking it because drinking it or even getting in it because your body's gonna
Absorb it.
try to hold on to
Absorb it.
Absorbent.
all it can when it
Yeah.
comes to fluids.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when people crash to make weight, and you see them around with their eyes all sucked in and stuff.
Yeah.
And when they make the weight on the scales,
Hmm.
first thing they want to do is drink right. So
Yeah, of
you
course.
gotta do it the right way. You can't just start guggling all that water down because your body holds it.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest way to get cut because it gets up under your skin. Your
Hmm.
body's still in that mode where I need to hold this water because I was craving for it for
Been
so
Yeah.
long.
starved of it. Yeah. Oh.
And you see those guys with their face real puffy after they
Yeah.
make weight, they
Yeah.
Yeah.
drink too much.
Yeah. They blow,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So
They blow.
you just have to do it uh in sessions, 6 ounces at a time instead of just guggling it all.
Interesting. Silk, I suspect we could be here all day pumping this great man for knowledge. But I
Oh,
do
no.
feel I do feel it's only fair to point out that we've already cost him 1 minute 42 seconds of his life. And I
One,
wonder if we
one
maybe
hour, 1 hour and 42 minutes.
sorry,
Yeah.
42 minutes. There you go.
Yeah.
51 seconds. Yeah,
Two
Yeah.
43
hours
now.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, you got me
Yeah.
again.
I could speak to you all day, Coach. This is just so great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But
It's legendary to
what's the
speak.
the thing that you wanted to say, Alton? You said would take about
Okay.
35 or 40 seconds. Go ahead, and then
You
we'll let
remember
go.
Gary Lane?
Of course, a heavyweight. Yeah, fought George
Okay,
Foreman.
Gary Lane came to me crying for down in Pensacola. And he was a journeyman. He was a journeyman, but he was always overweight, remember?
He was
Yeah.
fat. I saw him
He
fight one time in England at Wembley. Yeah.
yeah, he came down to me, he said, Coach, I got a favor to ask of you. I said, what's that, Gary? He said, I want you to train me for this next fight. I heard that you like working with boxers. You know how to feed them. You know how to get weight off of them. If you need something, I said, yeah. Okay. I said, okay. I said, I don't have anything going. I said, if you really want me to help you, I will. So I took 38 pounds off of Gary Lane in 2.5 months.
Wow.
Okay.
And he was in good shape. He's doing everything in the gym like he was supposed to. Had him sparring with David Azan. He was doing good. He was ready. And the guy that he fought, he should have he should have beat him unanimously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get him down to the fight, and I noticed in the locker room when I put his gloves on, he was like fidgety. He was like, I said, "You okay, Gary?" He was like, "Yeah, coach, I'm okay." I said, "What's on your mind? Something's not right." He says, "Well, I'm not used to fighting this with this light. I just don't. It's
Yeah. Don't feel
I'm
right.
really afraid." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Why are you worrying about that? You're strong, you're healthy. Let's go, man. Let's get it on." Gary Lane got in the ring, and kind of like when you brainstorm for a test, and
Mm-hmm.
you draw a blank and you can't remember nothing.
I
Yeah.
remember it. Yeah.
He did it in the ring.
Oh man.
He
Because he.
came back after the second
Yeah.
round, and I sit him down. I said, "Gary, what's wrong with you?" He said, "Coach, I can't get off."
Yeah.
And so, in saying that, it really bothered me. And it was in December, it was around Christmas time. I laid up in the bed, man, and I said, I can't believe all that work I put in this guy, and he got in the fight
Yeah.
and said he just couldn't get off, and he
Yeah.
didn't know why.
Yeah.
This is what I want to tell you. I wrote a poem that night,
Okay.
and I didn't have to take no time to do it.
Yeah.
I just thought about these things, and if any trainer that's training any fighter don't feel what I said in this poem that I'm getting ready to say,
Mhm.
he shouldn't be training fighters.
Yes.
The title of the poem is The Trainer.
Okay.
Promoters, managers, and spectators too. Do you know what a trainer has to do? I am a trainer who takes pride in all things, especially those things that are done in the ring. I look at my boxers as though they're my kids, and I also watch spectators placing their bids. As my boxers receive blows, maybe 1, 2, or 3, the same blows they receive are punishing me. As I
Mm.
twist in my chair and shuffle my feet, I witness some boxers that rise to the beat, but those that can't hear the sound of my feet, they simply fall down and suffer defeat.
Mm.
Oh, this is a feeling they cannot explain. Do you know how it feels to lose a big game? I
Mm.
wish as a spectator you could feel what they feel. Then you would know that the game is for real. So I just keep on hoping and pray for the best, and Almighty God will sure do the rest.
I
Amazing.
love
What
it.
a mic
That's
drop.
beautiful,
Now that's
baby.
deep.
That's real deep.
If a trainer doesn't feel that way about his fighter,
Yes.
he don't need to
Then he
be
shouldn't be
training
doing it.
fighters.
Yeah. Yeah. He shouldn't be doing it, and he's doing it for his own
That's
purposes,
exactly
obviously.
right.
Oh,
And lastly, that
Yes.
choreographing and
Yeah.
all of these people's with the camera on them,
Yeah.
throwing 50 punches that's
Yeah.
never done in the ring is a
Yes.
bunch of crap. I'm gonna tell you right now. It don't
Yes.
make
yeah.
any sense.
That's what kills real fighters. They condition them to do things that aren't even natural to a fighter. It's, you know what I mean. We know how it started, but I'm sure Floyd must have been doing it for the monotony and because it's good for the brain or the reflex. It's just that the repetition of a pattern can be really cool, but when you start doing that as your actual fight training, come on, man, that can't
What
work.
fight have you saw him execute that in?
Exactly.
Never.
Never.
Floyd hardly threw any punches towards the end. He was like literally single shot guy.
Yeah, he was a one shot.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Okay. You
But
fight the way you train. Going back to what I said, train the
Thank
way
you.
you fight. Fight the way
Yeah.
you train. So
yeah.
that's just like you saying a lot but not saying nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well,
There
I
you
want to
go.
ask you I want to ask you one more question before we go. And Ben, I
Yeah.
want you to get ready for this because you got your pen or your phone or something ready because you have to write something down, Ben.
Go on.
I want to know who your favorite fighter is today. And before you answer, I want you to take a guess who that favorite fighter might be. And then we're gonna do the reveal before Coach tells us who that fighter is. Have you written them
Okay,
down?
so you want me to write it down? Hang on a second. Let
I
me
want
get
you
a
to
pen.
write it down. Yeah.
Okay, so we're asking Alton Merkerson who is his favorite active fighter in the
Who's
game
his
today.
favorite?
Yes.
Who pound for pound he thinks is the best fighter? And well, I guess favorite.
All right, I'm going to write it down. Okay, well, let me get a pen.
Oh my
Hey David,
I was going to say Davis, but he just. I
Who
was
is
going to
who's
write
the
that, but he
guy
just.
He's calling David. No,
that
no, no.
beat?
Get your
I'm
pen.
sorry. Hold up. Who is the guy that
Ben,
beat?
get your pen.
Terrence Crawford. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So hold on. What do you have to make the pen?
I've literally only got one pen. The world's gone electric, didn't you? Or the world's gone online.
Okay.
I only own one pen.
All right. Please write it down. And I've written mine down.
Okay, I've written mine down. Okay, so
Coach. Okay, Coach. So who
I've
do
written
you
it down. So he's going to say it, and we're going to see if we've got the right one.
exactly? So the reveal. Go ahead. Tell us, Coach.
First of all, I'm gonna say that because I've been out of the game so much, I haven't been watching fighting that much.
Okay.
Unless it's a fight that my son's interested in.
Yeah.
Crawford, I'm impressed with. Canelo, it's several
got
of them. I
Crawford.
mean, it's no one that stands out
Okay.
necessarily to me. Javante.
Okay.
That's my second choice. I bluffed.
And those three. Now, I was really impressed with Garcia
Yeah.
the other night, but
Yeah.
I don't like the fight build up stuff and all that, and all the
Yeah.
cussing and drinking and
Not to
all that.
mention not making weight then failing a drug test, right?
Yeah, yeah. But that's going to that fight. All of the rigmarole. Hey, if I'm heavy, I'm gonna give you 500,000 piece pint. Yeah, you make 1.5 million dollars. Now you're complaining, but then they said the test he really didn't do drugs. It's just I don't like that part of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his dad needs to. It's between the boxers.
Thank
Thanks.
you. I'm
It's
always
between the
like,
boxers. It's not
yeah.
between. You're getting into it with everybody, fighters,
Yeah.
managers, everybody. About
Yeah.
let your kid speak for itself. Okay,
Exactly.
y'all.
Yeah.
Who did y'all pick?
Oh yeah. I picked Crawford.
I
thought
picked Crawford.
would be your-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We said
Crawford's one of
Crawford, yeah.
mine because he's a solid guy. I
Yeah.
used to work for Bob Arum, but Bob Arum said he wasn't exciting.
Yeah.
He's exciting if you put somebody in there to make him fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Arum, it was weird how Arum said he couldn't make any money out of Crawford. That was really strange.
I know it was strange to me too, and I worked for him. I couldn't understand it.
Hey,
How did
listen.
he make money out of Marvin Hagler, you wonder?
Crawford is exactly that. He's like a modern day Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
That's how you see him. He the way he fights, everything what he does, he's clean.
Even
he's
the switch
hardworking.
hitting.
You know the biggest problem in boxing now,
What's
and
that?
everybody wants to get compensated much as they can for their
Yeah.
performance.
Mhm.
But it's the money, it's
Yeah.
negotiating. You're
Yeah.
worried about who's making more than you and who's not making as much as I'm making. That's why I just like to hang around the boxes. But the politicking portion and the negotiating and the debate stuff,
Yeah.
I tried to stay out of that when I was in the
Yeah.
game.
So let me ask you. So now you consider yourself you're completely retired from the game. What's your day to day like? What do you do, bro?
My day-to-day life is back up. I've got a lot of medical issues from Vietnam. I
Yeah.
fight with Agent Orange,
Yeah.
and people call me all the time about
Yeah.
training them,
Yeah.
and I turn them down, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you why I turn them down.
Mm-hmm.
It's because if I can't give it my all,
Yes.
I'm not going to cheat an athlete.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because
I get you.
Yeah.
I led by example. I
Mhm.
did what the boxers did.
Yes.
And I'm not a big talker. I'm an
Yes.
executor. So
Yes.
I can't train the way I used to train.
Yeah.
So I tell them, look, I just don't want to do it because I'd rather show you than tell you how to do something.
Yeah.
That's
And
an
I can't
interesting
do it
point.
now.
That's why that's why you didn't feel you could be like an Eddie Futcher guy who, as long as he could walk up the steps, he could still coach because you wanted to be more active.
As a trainer, you have to know when to fold them and when to hold them and fold them. I
Yes.
think Emmanuel, Angelo stayed in too long. I think Eddie Futch stayed in too long.
Mhm.
Because they had people working for them, but they wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
Thale and Hesman Lewis was Eddie Futch's backbone.
I get you.
Yeah,
You understand?
self-tolerance, yeah.
Yes.
So I just don't want to do things that way.
No.
I can pull out now. I can give you some advice,
Yeah.
verbal advice,
Uh-huh.
but getting in the
Consultant, yeah.
gym with you, uh, it's just hard for me to do. That's why I don't go to the gym these days.
Yeah.
Because I really love the game and I want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not be around because people go say, "Well, show me how to do this," and I can't
Yeah.
show them.
Yeah. So you're 100%. You're really resolved. You're happy with your life and the life you led and your energy.
I shoot a lot. Interact with my dogs. I still train. I train my dogs. I got some dogs that got a IQ of like a 7 or 8 year old kid.
Wow.
And I can sit in my yard and do it. I
Yeah.
go to the range a lot and I do some exceptional things.
Yeah.
Shooting, especially with pistols. I mean,
It's sweet.
cause I shoot 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
I read a lot. Because I've been diagnosed with early stages of dementia.
Okay.
I read a lot. I teach a lot. I teach a lot in Masonic order.
Yeah. Okay.
I travel all over speaking. I have to remember things a lot. So I'm in a happy place.
Yeah.
But I wish I had boxing in my arsenal.
Yeah.
But doing a self-evaluation is just not good for me because I think that I'll be cheating the athlete.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what about your own personal fitness? Do you not feel like, I mean, you know how great boxing is. You don't have a bag set up in your back or anything like that. You hit that bag, develop some new combinations just for yourself, for your own energy, fighting dementia.
I don't, but my baby boy, he goes to the gym sometime. I'm thinking about putting some out there, but
Yeah.
my limitations, I can't use my left arm now.
Oh, for real? I'm
No,
sorry.
I haven't been able to use it for 5 years. A lot of neuropathy. I can't feel things. Can't button my shirt. It's just a combination of a lot of things,
Everything's an effort.
Had several operations on my neck. Can't hold my neck straight. Can't turn my head. So
yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
You sound sharp as hell, and very erudite, sir.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I would never have guessed half of that stuff that you reeled off there because you present such
and I try to carry.
such an articulate, healthy.
I try to carry myself that way too. Other people actually wouldn't know unless I told them that I have these problems.
Yeah.
And I walk with a cane.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't even go to fights anymore because of that. I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I like to be in the flow of things if I'm gonna be a part of something, So.
Yeah.
Well, the world would be wise, and the boxing world would be wise to continue to come back to you and get boxing from you. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's you're obviously like the pure part of boxing, and we need to highlight people like you a lot more. And I know we like to stay in touch, and going into big fights, get your feedback on what you think's going to happen. I know you're not following fights, but there's a few mega fights coming up, I guess.
You can't miss.
Yeah. My son usually tell me a fight's coming on, Dad, and I said, "Well, I'm reading right now." But it used to be I wouldn't miss a fight.
Yeah.
And I think I do it purposely.
Yeah.
Because
I can understand it.
Well,
you love.
If I get to looking at it, I get the itch and all this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get in the middle of the fight and I just go in my room. I'm like, yeah. But I tell him he's gonna win.
Yeah. And you're right.
He's go after the first, second round. I basically know who's gonna win.
Yeah.
If it's not a conditioning factor, I know who's gonna win.
He's gonna win.
And I think he bets a little bit.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Dad, what about this fight? I don't know. I haven't watched them." I said, "Who's fighting who? What's their record? What's the knockout ratio?
Wow.
What caliber fighters did they fight?
Yeah.
How long has it been since they fought?
Yeah.
When the last time he got knocked out? He's gonna win."
Yes. It's like
and
that.
I know what he do. He go
put that money down. Get paid.
But I never betted on one of my fighters.
No,
never.
That's not the thing to do. Yeah.
You know how much money I could have made on Roy when it was in his prime?
Yeah.
I've never bet one copper penny on a fighter that I trained.
Wow.
That's integrity. Yeah.
I know. I would
too much. But you know how many trainers would?
Oh yeah.
Listen, I even heard about there's a rumor that Barney Eastwood bet against Barry McGuigan, his fighter, when he fought Stevie Cruz. So even it's happened in the history of boxing, right?
You see what I'm saying? Now, you got a championship fight. Let me use Roy. He's won 10 rounds. He got 2 more rounds to go. He won every round. I know it. I got $100,000 bet on the fight. This guy kind of cranking it up in the last 2 rounds. Roy, knock him out, man. Come on, you got to get him out. I never put myself in that position over money.
No, there you go. It compromises you. It compromises you. Simple as that. And
not gonna mention any names.
Yeah.
2 years in the training, Roy, I was offered money out of a bag to bring him to him.
Wow. I can guess.
Hey, keep your money and you can go do what you want to do. I don't want your money. Yeah. You got to be the craziest one that I done saw in my whole life.
Yeah.
It don't. Hey, money don't move me, man.
No, that's.
It never did, and it never will.
Mm-hmm. To not be caught into the same traps that all boxers seem to come from, because they come from backgrounds where they didn't have a lot. Now they have the opportunity. I think they're never going to have the opportunity again to get it, and that compromises their. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's the unfortunate thing that happens a lot in the business, and that's real. But
the game is so. I love the sport, man. I love teaching. I love the boxers, but the rest of it.
Yeah,
you all know Ron Weathers, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ron came to me when George Foreman came right back. George Foreman's a year older than me, and he came to me. I think at that time I was training Eddie Cook, Vince Phillips, Kenny McKinney, Donald Curry, Mercer, Cole, Charles Murray, all these guys. Ron Weathers came to me because a lot, even Akbar Muhammad and doggone top rank on them. Shit. Bob Arum. They like me because I work with the fighters. I was a gym guy. Brother said, hey, I got a great proposition for you. I said, what's that? He said, how you like to train George Foreman? I said, I wouldn't. Why would I? You're missing a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Great opportunity for what? Yeah. George Foreman just came out of retirement. He's a year older than me. What do you mean? Look, if I go to, he's a man, he's his own man. He gonna want to train them. My other fighters, I'm training here. I'm gonna lose all my fighters. That's a dumb question.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Eddie Futch came to me after I was on the pro circuit for 2 years, asked me to work for him.
Yeah.
I said, no, sir. I appreciate the offer, but you got Theo and Hedgeman Lewis working for you. And Eddie and Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. That'll make me fourth on the totem pole.
I get it.
He said, so I turned that down.
Yeah.
And several people asked me, but it's just I'm just not that type of person,
I get it. Yeah. I love your integrity. I love your energy.
Okay, my wife, I gotta take her out for her
okay.
We're good.
Mother's Day, so
yeah, I get it.
Well, thank you for your time, Alton. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure, and we hope we see you again on Sugar Silk Stretch.
Okay,
thank you.
You all take care. Thanks for having me on.
Take care, brother.
Thanks,
no,
man.
Of course.
Okay.
See you back.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we can close it, Silk. That's the longest podcast we've done. That was 2 hours,
2 hours,
3 minutes, 12 seconds. That can count in, but that was cool.
Yeah, that was real cool. I mean, there was still so much to ask him. I wanted to get into specifics of stuff with Roy. Of course, you can go all day.
Yeah, I wanted to ask some more stuff. But you're never gonna get everything out in a podcast. You're just not.
And then he had some fighters that I didn't know he was actually working with. I know Al Cole real well, and
we're still on air, by the way. Yeah. We're still
Yeah,
broadcasting. You and me.
I do. I'm not going to pick my nose. Don't worry.
All right.
But anyway, yeah. In summary, it was beautiful. I love talking to fight people, the ones that had like their skin in the game, that have been really about it, and it was nice to find out that he had this boxing background, like
Yeah.
intimate background with boxing and the history he had. You know, it's just I don't know. Just when you see people like that, it restores your
So much
faith.
of what he had to say and his philosophy matched yours as well. Your beliefs about boxing
Yeah,
and your training
yeah.
methods and stuff. A lot of the things you tied in on. You
I
two.
don't think that's actually. I know what you're trying to do there, but I don't think that's actually why I enjoy talking to him so much. The
I
fact
wouldn't. You see,
he's highly.
sometimes you've got this ultra guarded kind of thing where you say, "I know what you're trying to do." I was just saying, quite a lot of boxers he checked some silkisms he agreed with without being prompted. He come out with some silkisms. That was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah,
Because
you said
I'm
you
not this
yourself.
traditional guy. I'm not this traditional guy who believes all the stuff they were reared on since time immemorial and all the old wives' tales.
Yeah.
I'm open to your. Obviously, I don't agree with everything you say, but I am open to your thinking outside the box. I mean, the other day you were saying, what are they on about balance for? It's a floor, for God's sake. How are you going to fall off it? But, you know.
No, I should have brought that one up with him too.
Yeah, because he started talking about balance and pivoting and all the rest of it. But,
Yeah, exactly.
but I think that's probably, that probably is a wrap, I'm guessing.
That's a wrap.
So,
Yeah,
all right, we're going to close the show at least. Then we're going to have our little backstage. Okay, now really go away this time.
Our backstage,
But guys,
Ted.
There's David Corbett says Top Draw Podcast. This one. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. That was a privilege for us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We are back next week. It is the big fight week. It is Fury versus Usyk. Fury has only got another few days left to withdraw or pull out. Some of you still predicting it. I know. We don't think so at this point. Silk is on Usyk. I think.
Well. Wait a minute. He lost a lot of weight now. He
okay. You want to?
right.
That's cool.
We'll see. We'll talk about it as we get closer.
We'll pick your brains next week. Big fight week next week. The whole week will be devoted to it. Sugar and Silk, 2 shows, talking, previewing it, breaking it down afterwards. Join us there. Be there or be square. Be lucky. Keep punching.